And I actually.
All good? All right, we'll call this meeting of the Berlin Boston Regional School Committee to order. Everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everybody. First item on the agenda, Hal, do you want to take over here?
Yes, if I could please, Alice, I'm just going to move forward in this direction. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce you Avery Genrin. Avery Genrin is a sophomore here at Tohoto High School. Avery on January 20th, third quarter, great game, scored her 1,000 point in basketball, which was absolutely outstanding. Her name now officially goes on the banner at our high school gym. I want to thank her and her mom, who I know is here, proud mom Shauna as well too, is with us. But also a lot of people thank her coach, Dave McCarthy, our athletic director, Julie Lee, who completely organized the event. And hopefully some of you got the chance to see that in the newspaper, or never mind being at the game itself. But it's quite an accomplishment for a sophomore at our high school to score her 1,000 points. So congratulations to her. So we want to recognize her with a certificate of her scoring her 1,000 point on January 20th. Again, congratulations. And this is just a little something from us, school committee and admin team, to congratulate you and keep up the great work. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
And her parents put a big spread out afterwards.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
You. That was very impressive.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you. You want to show people what you got in your gift? Not to put pressure on you. Sorry about that.
Oh, we got some candy, some chicken flour. We got a basketball.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Just something small. That's it. Don't be looking at me.
Okay.
That's all it's in there. Just something to thank you and to say how proud we all love you. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. No.
Okay. Our next item is the consent agenda. Before we get to that, I want to ask Jess if you want to make an amendment to the meeting minute for January 20th.
Yes, please. So I would like to make a motion to amend the January 20th Zoom meeting. I unfortunately lost the connection, got frozen during the vote. I did email, so it's public record, thank you, that I did vote aye as well. So,
All right. Second. Anyone want to contest it, discuss it?
And just for clarity, what you're talking about, Jessica, is
So this was the vote for
Oh.
hiring the superintendent.
Yep.
And we did it, but not hiring, but signing the contract, agreeing to the contract. And we did it via Zoom. Unfortunately, with technology, sometimes you have issues. And Jess's connection got frozen, so we couldn't actually hear her vote on the Zoom. And so this is just to correct the record that Jess did in fact vote. So,
and actually Dr. Brent Conley's joining us today as well too. So we want that in public record that you had a unanimous vote as well too. So congratulations to you.
okay, that motion is to amend the meeting minutes. It's been seconded. Does anyone have anything to say about that? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against it? Okay, now can I have a motion, please? So that motion passes. Jen will fix those minutes. Could I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda as just amended for the January 20th minutes?
So moved.
Beth?
Second.
Lisa? All right, anyone have comments on those? Anything else that's in there? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against it? All right, so that passes as well. Next up, some policies. I have a few things to say here about these policies. I thought it was an appropriate time to point out a few of these policies that sort of govern how the school committee operates and members behave based on recent circumstances, recent events. especially given the fact that we have 3 candidates for an open seat on the committee tonight. Once you take that oath of office, whether we agree personally with policies, norms, procedures, that's what we're signing on to when we take that oath of office. So we all wear multiple hats as committee members. We're parents, we're volunteers in the school, we're committee members. But once that oath is taken, you have to be very careful to keep these separate and maintain that separate disconnect between our different hats. So a few of these policies here. Policy BBAA, these are all online if anyone would like to read them. I'm just going to summarize them here. This concerns school committee member authority. As we all know, when we sign up and we take our training, individual members have no independent authority on the school committee. The authority only exists as a complete body. So we take votes, we have meetings, they're properly posted according to open meeting law, and that's what we do. So as individual members, we should not be representing ourselves or exercising any authority in the school buildings or the community outside of that context. The next one, BHC on the list, concerns committee to staff communication. So this governs interactions with staff and visits to school buildings, and there might be many different reasons where in the school buildings personally, school committee business should not be one of those reasons. It should not be conducted independently in the building outside of the committee or the superintendent. Informal encounters like pick up and drop off, other volunteer events that we might be in the school for are not appropriate settings for discussing school committee business, complaints about school personnel, anything else. Our role as a committee is to hire the superintendent, which we've done, oversee him, evaluate him, policy and budget. And that's oversight of budget, not day-to-day operations, day-to-day management or implementation of those budget items. That's up to the superintendent and his staff to take care of that. So just a reminder that when we are in the school building, whether we're there for any other reason or not, we can be seen as a school committee member in a building. And that air of authority travels with us wherever we go, no matter what. It would be inappropriate to conduct any school business there. And oftentimes when we do, it could make staff uncomfortable. We want to make sure that that is not the case. Nobody likes a micromanager. The next policy, BHE, electronic communications. So this covers all sorts of different electronic communications, when and how to respond. School-related communications that we receive individually as members per this policy should be shared with the superintendent and the committee chair. Why? Because individual members don't have authority to act on any complaints or any communications. And this ensures that the correct channels are informed. And if it needs to go on an agenda for a meeting, it can go on an agenda for a meeting. Or if it needs to be handled by the superintendent, it can be handled by the superintendent. Members of the committee should avoid speculation, discussion, commentary regarding staff attendance, pay, employment status, or any other employee's future plans to resign. It's simply not appropriate. The next code of ethics. This governs professionalism, collective responsibility, respect for committee decisions. Once a vote is taken by the committee, members are expected to support the will of the body, even if we disagree personally. All of us have probably been on the side of a losing vote from one time or another. Even if we're on that side, when it comes to the committee decision, we're bound by that oath that we take and by this policy and our code of ethics and the training we take from MASC and a million other reasons why we're to support the decision of the committee, even if personally we're not against it. So any public or private efforts from individual committee members looking to undermine committee decisions after the fact, for example, if we vote on overnight field trips and we vote for that and then are out there publicly trying to undermine that decision, that would be inconsistent with this policy. Finally, KEB is public complaints against school personnel. If anybody wants to complain about school personnel, I mean, I'll be the first one to lead the charge if you want to do it, but just do it correctly, right? Do it in writing. We're not going to hear them if they're anonymously made, and they need to be directed to the administration for review. Individual committee members, again, are not authorized to handle complaints independently. So communicating them or communicating unverified complaints, informal complaints to staff without following this process is also inappropriate and contrary to this policy. So for example, if you tell a staff member that you have many complaints from parents about a decision they made, that's just plain old mean and inappropriate and unprofessional, if it's even true. So now that I've said that, most importantly, I want to make sure that our district employees are aware of these policies and are familiar with these policies, because these policies exist for everyone's protection, right? It's the proper way to handle things. So if you feel that a committee member oversteps their boundaries, engages in inappropriate discussion, or makes underhanded threats about how long they have left on their term of office compared to the remaining time the superintendent has on his contract, or attempts to involve staff and matters outside their role, employees need to feel comfortable saying no and redirect us to the proper channel for that. The district runs lean. Everybody performs multiple jobs. And when a committee member acts in a manner inconsistent with policy or procedure and takes away your time, it's like stealing from taxpayers who contribute and pay your salaries. Staff time is for students, not for indulging boundary issues from adults who should know better. If you need to say no, say it. We'll survive without the latest gossip, and I'm confident that most of the committee would support you in doing so. And that's what I have to say about that. Next, we have a statement that Jess would like to make.
So I threw my back out, so I may get up and down throughout this meeting, so I just apologize for that in advance. It's tough to get old, but, so this statement is my own. It was floating around in my head, so I didn't read it beforehand, but I want to make a statement of gratitude for the staff that we have here, in Boylston. I myself attended BES and Tohoto and Owen High School, and, you know, I'm a grad graduate, as is my husband and my brother and my sister-in-law. And I'm really thrilled to be able to have moved back to Boylston back in 2019 to give my children the same education and upbringing. I am very confident in the staff at the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school. Some of the high school teachers I had back in the day, and it is still weird calling them by their first names, but you know, there are lessons that they taught me that I have integrated into who I am and who I am as a professional and as a parent. You know, when I come to school committee meetings, I still think about wearing blue or red from Mr. Pacheco in government class. You know, later on in college, you know, I took a doctor-patient relationship class that taught me to look at who asks how many questions and who controls the conversation. Where am I standing? Am I standing above people? Am I sitting below them? Am I showing them dominance? Or, you know, so it's really important, the education that not only by the standards, the Massachusetts educational standards that they're teaching us, but the passion and the caring that they put into their education. We've had some exciting times since I came back to this district, and when we moved back, I told my husband I'm going to keep my head down and out of small town politics, which is hilarious, until I couldn't. You know, my parents moved out of Boylston because of small town politics and how ugly it can get in small towns. But I brought my kids back to this town because there are so many incredible parents, people, staff members, and I trust them for the education of my kids. And I have learned over the last 3 years that I probably got more done not on the school committee because of electronic communications. I can't say anything of substance in any emails. Open meeting law, we can't say any substance outside of meeting laws. And so I know that as a parent, that really, really frustrated me to no end. And as a committee member, it frustrates me to no end. But those are the rules that we have to abide by. I have tried to learn the rules, so Robert's rules, so they can be utilized to our fullest, but we have tried to hire incredible staff members, and I'm really, really excited the direction that this district is going to and in. And, we all during budget season row in the same direction, and I'm very hopeful that we continue to do that. I am not perfect. Again, I'm speaking for myself. I've learned to sit on emails for 24 hours, and I try to be reflectful, and I try to be respectful to people. And I personally have reminded myself I can't let hate consume me. I can't let anger consume me. You can be angry at someone, but still be respectful because you want them to do better, to be able to come back and have another conversation. So I recognize that I have been through the 5 stages of grief this year, but we have to work through that, all of us, and be good for the kids and talk to each other and try to get better and continue to be better. And to quote Al, you know, we are an incredible district, but we could be even better too. And I'm so excited with the staff that we have, Erin in the finance seat, you know, Lisa now in the curriculum, which again, I don't speak badly about any prior curriculum director, but these are staff members that are so passionate what they do that I trust them, and I'm so excited about the direction our district is going. Again, we can do things better, and we can, you know, looking at the strategic plan surveys, we can think on that and do our own. The superintendent subcommittee will be looking at a self-evaluation once the protocols are cemented, so we can look at ourselves frankly and try to improve ourselves. So I just ask everyone to try to maintain respect, even if you have anger. Everyone is going through something right now. You don't know who's struggling with chronic pain or someone dying, or and so as passionate we are, and I'm guilty of it too, we have to try to maintain respect so we can all continue going in the same direction.
Well said, Jess.
Thank you, very nice. Can I add a little something to that? And I think it's quite the theme that you're hearing, right? And I really appreciate that our admin and principals to write a me, and our new superintendent is hearing this message loud and clear, and that our future school committee members as well too are listening to this theme that's, you know, resonating from our opening of it today. Let's not forget the reason why we're here every day. It's Avery, it's all the students that are in our schools, and sometimes we forget about that. I'd like to start off by saying, I've always said my job as superintendent has always been, and you've heard me say this multiple times, is to keep our children safe and to provide them a high quality education. I think you've heard me say that multiple times. I'm adding to that statement a little bit over this last couple of weeks. And my job is also not only to protect our students, but also, I'm sorry to say, also protect our staff and make sure that they're feeling safe and secure. Right, we know people get their salaries, it's public record, but it's not about just their salaries. It's about coming to work and feeling safe and feeling secure and feeling confident in the jobs that they're doing. I'm being made aware these last couple of weeks of experiences that are inappropriate and being disrespectful. We've had conversations and exchanges that are taking place in our district with staff, with teachers, with principals and administration, and that is just unacceptable to me. I use this expression all the time, you know, you're entitled, and they hear me say, you're entitled to your opinion, not the facts, right? The facts are pretty as is. And the facts have been very clear what I've experienced in the last couple of weeks that we're seeing happening. And I'm going to give you a few of them without giving too many details, but, you know, even in this last week, I've had an administrator feel that their job was threatened. They felt like they were not securing their jobs from people. I've had administrators spoken so disrespectfully to that they felt completely inappropriate. They felt that the conversation wasn't appropriate and they should not be feeling good about that. I've had staff members being spoken to in a disrespectful conversation that when the meeting was over, they actually were crying and calling me as the superintendent. I know this past week, dealing with Nature's Classroom, I know that's an issue that we're dealing with, and we have a meeting coming up tomorrow, but the level of parents being angry towards me, you know, 2 hang-ups on me when I'm talking to them on the phone, I'm calling them on a Friday night trying to explain about the communication about Nature's Classroom, using inappropriate language, and I'm not saying, you know, because I'm the superintendent, they shouldn't be saying that, but you will never hear me as the leader of this district speak inappropriately or using inappropriate language like that. And I would never expect anyone else to be doing that in our district as well too. And you would never hear from anyone here to the right of me. And if they did, then you need to have a conversation with me, and I'll be having a conversation with them. It's completely inappropriate. These are only a few examples, and truly are. There are only a few examples, but they've brought this to my attention, and I want to make sure that not only is my job to make sure that our students are being safe, but also our staff are being safe. I've also had the same conversation with the union. I know the union has brought it to your attention as well too. They're concerned. They want to make sure that they're going to be kept safe and that conversations aren't going to be escalating, and they're concerned, and they know I'm having this conversation with them as well too. This type of behavior wouldn't be allowed in your doctor's office, wouldn't be allowed in hospitals, and wouldn't be allowed in dentist's office. In any other professional setting, these wouldn't be allowed. And we should not be allowing them to be taking place in here. And the joke in the team over here knows I'm a shopper at TJ Maxx, and I was at TJ Maxx the other day, and they were escorting a woman out who was volatile and arguing, and they were taking her out the store because we just can't take any chances nowadays. We need to make sure that we are providing safety for all of our students and for all of our staff. So I'm asking everyone here on school committee, and I'm asking our admin team to not allow this type of behavior to be taking place in our district. It is unacceptable. We can do better. We are the role models for our students every single day that takes place. I also want to be clear that I've spoken to our attorneys as well too, and to see exactly what I can do in terms of when behaviors get inappropriate as well and escalate to that level. And there are options I have, and I certainly don't want to go there, but there is no trespassing, not allowing families to be able to come, they drop off their kids, they pick up their students, but are not allowed any more of that, and I certainly don't want to do that. But I also want to make sure that we're keeping our buildings safe from adults that might not be having the best intentions when they're coming into our schools as well too. I want to be clear though, and make sure you understand, this is not the majority. The majority of our parents are absolutely, and our families are wonderful. They're supportive to our principals, they're supportive to our admin, they're supportive to our teachers as well too, and I thank them for that. Truly, they have been nothing but completely wonderful. So I want to make sure I'm clear about that. But there are things that I am concerned about, and I think you're hearing it from our chair, you're hearing it from one of our school committee members, that we need to make sure that we are keeping our buildings safe. We're making sure that we're keeping our admin, our teachers safe, and most importantly, keeping our students safe as well too. With everything going on in our world right now, we want to make sure that we're doing that. I never want to be the superintendent that someone says that you knew that was taking place and you didn't do anything about it. So I'm asking us as a school committee member and asking this community, we can do better. We need to make sure that we're keeping our people safe and confident in the work that they're doing each and every day. They're doing amazing work. Dr. Brent Conway should be extremely thrilled with the team that he has coming on board with him as well too. They've worked extremely hard, and I can't thank them enough for the work they've done. So I felt like I needed to talk to you about that. We deserve to do better for our students. We deserve to be better role models. What Chairman Topman said, if you have a concern, use the communication plan that everyone here voted on. You all voted on. If there's an issue with anyone, follow the chain. If there's an issue with me, follow the chain. Come to school committee members about it as well too. There's a proper way of doing things. It's okay if we disagree, but let's make sure we do it properly and showing an example for our students as well too. Lastly, what I have for school committee members here, I respectfully talk to you and submit my goals for the 25-26 school year. I know it was a conversation that took place last school committee meeting. I know it's February and I'm an interim superintendent, but I have goals, and the same goals that we've been working on and things that we've been doing. So I'm not sure where you're going to be in terms of your goals, but hopefully my goals will align with yours. I have copies for you. Please look at them and reflect on them, because that's what I'm doing each and every day. This is my focus that's happening with this. If you have a problem with the way I'm doing my job, let's do it publicly, right? Let's do it with the goals that I've set. Not conversations that are happening on the soccer field, happening in schools, happening in classrooms, happening on the email. If you have an issue with the way I'm doing work, let me know. This is why I have goals, and I have them here, and I will share them with you as well too. But that's the proper way to do this. I'm trying my best as your interim superintendent. I have an incredible team that's trying hard each and every day to make sure we're providing a high quality education for your children. So I respectfully submit my goals, take a look at them, and feel free to give me comments on them at the next school committee meeting as well too. And I thank you for the opportunity to share that. And I thank these gentlemen to my right, ladies to my right, and our teachers and staff as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. Okay, our next item is our school committee vacancy. So we all know Lori Hart is no longer on the committee. She vacated her seat that is up for election in November anyway. So when there's time left on an unexpired term, we can appoint a member of the community to that seat. So that was a Boylston seat. So we have 3 Boylston members here tonight for that seat. They've submitted their letter of intent, resume, and whatever other documentation they wanted to submit. The deadline was last Thursday at 5 p.m. So we're going to go through, we'll call each one of you up to the center table, same order that's on the agenda. Each committee member will ask a question and answer it however you feel like answering it. You can start with an opening statement if you'd like. And after everyone's had a chance to go through, we'll go on to the next step. So we can start with Christina Calvo Medeiros, and I'm sorry if I pronounced anyone's name incorrectly.
Can you sign all this or no?
No, that's for public comment, that's fine. Yeah.
I don't think anyone's ever pronounced my last name properly, Mike, so I'm waiting for it.
Sorry, I'm terrible. I barely get my own name. I call my kids wrong all the time. Too. So feel free to make an opening statement, and then we'll ask you some questions.
Sure, yes, I do have an opening statement prepared, and I'm mindful that this is a very long meeting, so if I do look down at my notes, because I have lots of notes and I want to make it as fast and as efficient for you guys as possible. So, good evening, and thank you to the school committee for the opportunity to be considered for this seat, and to everyone for being here tonight. My name is Christina Medeiros. My family and I have lived in Boylston for about 7 years, and all of my children attend district schools, 2 at BES and 2 at Tohoto, so this district is very much a part of our everyday life. I'm originally from Hudson, Mass., where I grew up in a working class family with strong ties to the community. During that time, Hudson was a place that believed and invested in public education. The schools and teachers were deeply invested in students, and I always felt supported to explore whatever path I was interested in. I also have fond memories of the kinds of experiences that make public schools special. Art fairs, science fairs, chorus concerts, drama clubs, and musicals, and all those moments that made school feel like a community, not just a classroom. In particular, my teachers encouraged young women to explore math and science at a time when that wasn't the norm, and that made a lasting impact on me. Being the first in my family to go to college, that support was foundational. It shaped my confidence, my career path, and how I see the role schools play in opening doors for students. That experience is a big part of why I wanted my own children to have similar opportunities. Honestly, I thought my husband and I would both end up in Hudson, as a lot of my family have, but hearing about the strength of the schools in Boylston was a major factor in our decision to move here, like many families who've chosen this community over the past decade. It's why I care so deeply about supporting strong public schools and contributing thoughtfully to their future. A bit about my professional life. I work in corporate finance and business operations with a strong focus on budgeting, planning, and managing priorities. A big part of my work is asking good questions, collaborating with different stakeholders, and making thoughtful decisions when there are real trade-offs, skills that I think translate well to the work of the school committee. I'm putting my name forward because I care deeply about our students, our educators, and the long-term strength of our district. As a parent who's attended many BVRSD school committee meetings, I've seen firsthand how the decisions made here directly affect classrooms, staff, and families, and I take that responsibility seriously. Over the past year, I've been very intentional about preparing myself for this role. I've met with district leadership to better understand what's going well and what the challenges are, spent time digging into the district's budget and long-term financial picture, and have been actively supportive of our school budgets because I believe strong, well-resourced schools are the foundation to a strong community. I also serve on Tohoto School Council and the District Strategic Planning Committee, where I've had the chance to work alongside administrators, educators, parents, and students, and really learn how the system functions as a whole. All of that has reinforced me for the school committee's role as one of governance and stewardship, setting the direction, ensuring fiscal responsibility, and supporting the superintendent and administration so they can focus on teaching and learning. If appointed, I would bring a prepared, curious, and collaborative approach. I believe in listening carefully, being open to different perspectives, and asking thoughtful questions while keeping students at the center of our decisions. Most importantly, I would bring a calm, respectful, and transparent approach to the work. I understand the school committee decisions affect the entire district, and I'm committed to building trust, encouraging respectful dialogue, and serving the community as a whole. Thank you again for your time and consideration. I would be honored to serve.
Thank you. So we'll each ask our question, and we'll just start here. Lisa, we'll go around the table.
Oh, I think you answered.
You did, great.
Yeah, but I was just gonna say, why are you coming forward?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I think I mentioned a little bit about my personal experience with public education and being involved in the community. I come to these meetings, I see the important work you guys do and how that affects the students. This just felt like the right moment to step forward. I had been thinking about running for a while, so this is great timing. I've done the preparation. I've collaborated with a lot of the administration and teachers, and a lot of them have said, hey, you'd be great at school committee, so I sort of took that as a positive note. And I want to support the work that you guys are already doing, not coming to disrupt or anything. I think we're making great progress. And I'm excited about some of the stuff that Rich and folks are working on. And again, I'm going to listen, I'm going to learn, and keep stuff focused on students.
So when I joined the school committee, relationships were sometimes thought to be a weakness, but sometimes a strength. How are your relationships within the district going to benefit you or challenge you when you're put in a position where you have to make decisions about people?
Yeah. Think about that one.
Tough one.
It's a tough one, and I had thought about that a little bit. You know, I think in my professional experience, and I won't go into it because I know you guys have seen my resume, I have to have different types of relationships with clients. They have all different kinds of personalities and all different kinds of priorities and things. And, you know, there's confidentiality and all those kinds of things. And I think that, you know, 15 years in consulting has sort of prepared me to be a great mediator. I can take my parent hat off at any time and I can be very objective. I've been told that I'm very good at looking through the lens of other different perspectives and really great at trying to bring everybody to the table and having conversations about, you know, what do we have in common? What do we need to work with? Those kinds of things. So I think, you know, just a combination of my professional experience and knowing I'm not going to have any less of a relationship with my son's teacher, but I am very clear. I've done a lot of research as to the role of school committee. So I know what we can do, what we can't do. So I think I'm pretty prepared for that.
Thanks. So my question regards budget. So regarding budget decisions, what's your process for analyzing budget spending and determining whether it's a worthy program or not? And I know you told us in your letter that you're the co-treasurer of the Boylston Education Collaborative, the PTO group?
PTO and BEC.
Yeah,
For
BEC.
1 year.
Yep. So if you could explain a little bit about your role there and what the process is that BEC follows when deciding to spend on one program over another.
Sure. So in BTO, we had a board, and that board would review certain expenditures and things that were over, you know, certain amounts of things. But we had bylaws. That was all laid out ahead of time, what we would fundraise for, what we would use funds for. And every time that we were going to make an expenditure, we would all like reference the bylaws and make sure that, okay, this is in our wheelhouse. This is what we can spend. This is the process for spending over a certain amount. All of that is laid out. So anytime we made any kind of fiscal expenditures or we were thinking about items to be spent on, that was all laid out already. So we would go back and reference the bylaws of what we could spend and what we couldn't spend it towards. I think parents are passionate about what they want in their schools. So if there was someone really vocal about what we wanted to spend, we had those bylaws, right? We all always had that to fall back on. And as someone in finance, you know, there are accounting rules and JNS and all that kind of stuff. So I'm used to following all of that kind of protocol when we're talking about budgets and finance or forecasts and costs and things. So.
Thank you.
My question was, how will you balance your loyalty to your individual community with the needs of a regional district?
Good question. Again, I think it goes back to that, you know, being able to take your parent hat off, right? So I take my Boylston hat off and, you know, I understand that this is a district school committee and we have to think about what's best for all of the kids in district. There's obviously going to be conversations about what we do for Berlin, what we do for Boylston. I think it's about having a conversation about everything and thinking about how do we prioritize things? What are the most urgent things, right? I think those are more practical conversations. I think people can get passionate about their towns and their own kids, but you do have to think about how do we spend most effectively? How are we going to, you know, put the funding to the things that are going to have the most impact on the most students? So I think it comes down to my finance background really allows me to have a very analytical, you know, standpoint if we're making these types of things. Again, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to have some emotionality or things that I favor, but again, like, you know, as a parent, I'm allowed to have that, but when we're having discussions as a school committee member, it's very clear to me, and I have the experience to be able to have those kinds of thought process and conversations outside of my own personal views.
Please briefly discuss how one of your specific previous work or volunteer experiences could be beneficial to serving on a school committee.
That's a good question. I guess if I think about, if I think about spending time as the treasurer on PTO, obviously that has given me an insight into sort of public finance versus being in the private sector, right? I'm very aware that transparency is extremely important because we're dealing with taxpayers' money. I think having that experience of fundraising money that came straight from parents, we want to be very mindful of where we're spending that money. We want to be very transparent about where we're spending that money. A lot of times when we have specific fundraisers, we're very clear in advance. This specific fundraiser is going towards this, for a playground, for instance, right? And that money would be allotted and set aside to be spent on a playground. I also think my time spent on the strategic planning committee has been great. You get to see lots of different points of view. I think the most interesting one to me was students' feedback. I think as a parent, oftentimes you anticize it, like I have best. I'm experienced. And when I was able to kind of sit there and listen to what those guys' feedback was or what their experiences were, it was like, wow, I did a complete 180. I was like, that's amazing. Like we would not be able to do this without you being here. So I think that's one of those experiences to me that really instilled making sure that the students have a voice in our policies and decision-making. The community has a voice, right? Because I think we do get kind of set in our ways about, the way we think things should go. And it's important for us to all use our strengths in this job. But again, it does not fail to remind me that sometimes like, okay, I need to step back and I need to listen and I need to hear what everybody else has to say. And that's my typical approach usually, because I kind of I don't know if that's my inquisitive nature, but I want to hear everybody's points of view first and kind of do a little bit of analysis in the back of my mind first and then sort of make my recommendations. So I think those two experiences are probably the most relevant in the community. For this job.
Good. Thank you very much for coming in. All right.
Thank you.
And again, I apologize if I get the name wrong, but next we'll hear from Tara Sledgko.
Yeah.
All right, is that right?
pronunciation of my last name. That is not normally what people
What'd you say? I got it right.
did. You got such
All right.
code, you got such code correct, and that is not, that is not a regular thing.
All right.
Good evening, it's nice to see all of you. It's kind of interesting to be here and having the opportunity to speak to all of you because I'm largely just in the wings, paying attention, I'm an obsessive note taker, so I'm always taking notes in the back or sometimes from home, watching everything through YouTube. So I try I guess I kind of just stumbled right into my opening statement, even though I don't have it planned out terribly eloquently apparently. So I moved here in 2022 with my family. I knew about the district. I had prior knowledge about the district. So I knew what a good school district it was. I knew how caring and loving the teachers are and invested they are in their students and how the community cares about making sure that their students' education is paramount to help set them on the path for the rest of their lives. And I often consider that education isn't just the grade that you get in the classroom, but there are all the other soft skills and the determination and the growth that you experience throughout your education. And Boylston Urban Regional School District really prioritizes all the ways their students grow and not just academics. So that was part of the reason why we chose to move here. I do have a little guy in the district. He is a first grader this year. Many tears were shed last year when he became a kindergartner, but I'm going to be around, right? He's young, and I want to see him graduate from Tohoto, so I'm really in it for the long haul to be a part of this community and invested in his success, but not just his success, but the students of the regional school district. I am a teacher by trade. I have pretty much been in the realm of education since undergrad. I have mostly taught the high school level or above, although I did do a short-term short-term, long-term substitute in a middle school, which I give so much credit to middle school teachers. They are angels. That is a level of patience that I don't know if I can possess beyond my own children. I know what it's like to be in the classroom. In the past 10 years, I've mostly been working at Acton Boxborough Regional High School as a classroom Spanish teacher. While there, I've worked with the department to really update our curriculum, to move away from textbook-based curriculum and into proficiency and authentic resource-based materials, which allow the students to interact with things that are written in Spanish or in the target language, but also intended for native speakers, but brought to them at a level where they can find it accessible. And working on training with them and what do they want to communicate? How can we communicate without the focus on the nuts and bolts, right? We want them to drive the communication car without worrying about all the pieces that go into it. And that's been a very a challenging experience, a very rewarding experience. And just to see the change in mindset from both the teacher and the student, it gives more students opportunities to show growth and to show their mastery of language in other ways. We're not focused on the nuts and bolts so much as what can you do with the language, what do you want to say? And we're also bringing in experiences from other cultures, other perspectives, and trying to just widen the way the students see the world. And they get so excited, they love hearing stories. Just recently I was able to share, just to talk about the past tense, a trip that I took to Cadiz, right? And part of that was Gibraltar and seeing the monkeys and then being excited to be hearing about the monkeys. So the idea of getting the students engaged and being excited about learning. Some of my other experiences related to teaching in my department, I've been a part of various hiring committees. I've also been a part of the hiring committee for department head when our previous department head stepped down and we were in need of a new one. So going through that process of applications and interviews and sample lessons and questions. So I have a fair amount of experience when it comes to that as well. I care, right? I care about students. I care about the district, right? I have a tendency to, if I see that there's a need, I'm going to naturally want to come in and find a way to help. Like, for example, this fall, I was very much involved in the library at BES, trying to get in this huge backlog of books so that way students have greater access to a wider variety of high interest materials to them. Last year, I was a part of the BES School Council monthly meetings. I attend, as many other meetings as I can. I've attended virtually finance committee meetings just to see what that was about, especially last year where the budget was such a big, the budget and getting everything under control is such a big topic and an important one. I care about the district, obviously I care about Boylston, but I'm also fully aware of Berlin being a part and wanting that to be a part of it, and the idea of everybody working together. And, when we had the superintendent meetings for what was the community interested in, and I missed the one at Boylston, so I went to the one at Berlin and I was able to interact with parents there. And some of them I already know from daycare that my child attended prior to entering kindergarten. So I care, I'm passionate, I have an educator's perspective. I try to fill in the holes wherever I can to help out as best I can.
All right, ready for some questions? Lisa?
Okay. I feel like I chose the worst question because everybody's answering it already, but why now?
Why now? Because the need presented itself. It is something that I feel like since I moved, I've kind of kept in the back of my mind as to would this be something down the road that I would be interested in. Despite being here, I'm kind of an introverted person. So at first, like the idea of, putting yourself out there can be a little bit scary, but the more you show up, the more you learn, the easier it is, especially when it's something you care about. And like I said, I'm invested long-term, right? I want to see all of the different levels of schooling would be successful, and I want to help as we move forward.
Jess?
When I got elected, some people viewed my community relationships within the district as a weakness, but I viewed it as a strength. How do you view your own relationships when decisions are needed to be made involving people that you know?
Coming from the introverted side, I am the type to hang back. Like, I am definitely the type to, like, I'll have my notebook and I'll be taking my notes, but I tend to be more of an observer. And probably in part coming out of my shell will be a little bit more necessary. But I think I'm capable of holding more than one perspective in my hands at the same time, right? And that can be from being a teacher. Like, I can see, for example, how a student cares about their grade being an 89.4 instead of an 89.5. That gets them from the B+ to the A-, but also be able to have the discussion of, like, well, let's see what growth he's made. Let's see where we can go from here. Let's see what do we need to do to bring you from where you are to where you want to be. So I'm happy to create and build relationships. I'm happy to ask questions. I'm always happy to listen. I fully admit there's plenty of things I don't know, and I'm always willing to ask questions to get help in educating myself along the way. Thank you.
So regarding budget decisions, talk to us about your process for analyzing budget spending, determining whether it's a worthy program or not. If I'm not mistaken, you are related to a full-time employee in the district?
I am related to a full-time employee. My husband is Michael Blaine. He is the elementary school multilingual learning teacher. He has been here for 10 years now. I want to say 10, 11 years.
So follow on to my question, then, given that position regarding the budget, how will you handle that conflict if a decision comes before the committee, such as a financial decision regarding the budget that could impact your family directly?
Well, I do recognize that there may be some times when I would need to recuse myself, or it may not be ethical for me to vote because of given that. And I actually did, because I was curious, I did email MASC prior to applying here to see if, given that my husband is a full-time employee, if that would, be something that would prevent me from applying. And per their, they replied within 24 hours, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Just saying that there may be situations in which I would need to recuse myself. So I feel like I would be very open with the members of the community. I would certainly even, especially since I would be brand new to this, look for advice on when that might be the best time. But I feel like I am also capable of looking at the good of the whole over the individual, right? And I know that the good of the whole will have individual impacts. I'm not immune to that. I have felt that in my own district. I have witnessed that in my own district, right? It's heartbreaking to lose colleagues that you care about and you don't care about the students because of budgetary constraints. But I realize there's only so much that we can work with in that at some point decisions will have to be made.
Thank you.
You touched on it a little bit, but how do you balance your loyalty to your individual community with the needs of the regional district?
I think it really comes back to being able to hold multiple truths in your hands at the same time, right? Like, I can be sensitive and I can be fair and admit that I'm going to have certain interests and desires and drives as the parent of an elementary school child, right? I'm going to have different ideas and concerns as an experienced high school teacher. But I'm going to always enter things in terms of curiosity. I'm always going to want to learn more about whatever the topic is. I'm going to want to find ways to support my committee members, to support the entire district in whatever direction that we're moving. I want, and maybe it's a bit, I don't know, too rose-colored glasses, like I want the best for everyone, and I'm very invested in finding the way to make that happen, to make that as true as possible for all of those involved. I don't know if that answers your question.
Please briefly discuss how one of your specific previous work or volunteer experiences could be beneficial to serving on a school committee.
Well, I'm an educator. I know very, very well what it means to be in the classroom every day, what if and when decisions are made to cut down teachers, to increase class size, to have fewer resources, or to have those things available to you. There was a time when I was at AB where extra people were able to be hired and we were able to reduce class sizes and have that experience as well and what that looks like. So I can, at the very least, bring that experience and that perspective to the table to share. And I also recognize it's not the only perspective, right? It's not the only experience that is valid, that would be valuable to the group as a whole.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for coming in. And our last candidate is Jacqueline Hofsis. Am I good on this?
You're correct.
Yeah.
It was a lot easier when it was Murphy.
All right. Opening statement.
Yes.
All right.
So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jackie Hofsis, and I'm a Tohoto graduate, class of 2001. I came to Tohoto through the school choice program, and after graduation, I went on to attend my first choice university. When my husband, also a Tohoto graduate, and I began our family, we made the decision to move to Boylston. Our number one factor was the school district and our desire to provide our children with the same outstanding education and opportunities that we both received here. For the past 7 years, I've served as the co-chair of the Boylston Elementary PTO and more recently as the vice president of the Boylston Education Collaboration following our merger of those organizations in 2024. During this time, I've dedicated countless hours supporting our students, faculty, and staff through volunteer efforts and fundraising. I'm hopeful to bring that same dedication to our school committee, where I can help make an even greater impact while continuing to support our students, faculty, and staff, but throughout the entire district. Over the years, I've actively advocated for our district by attending numerous meetings and working to ensure school budgets were approved so our schools could continue to provide high-quality education for which they are known. I've attended Boylston Finance Committee meetings and hosted an informational session in collaboration with Berlin Link to help keep our communities informed and engaged. I have a deep passion for this district, and that's why it was truly heartbreaking to feel the need to create a backup plan for my son as he prepared to enter high school after seeing the school budget threatened with significant cuts for several consecutive years. After touring St. John's, we made the difficult decision that switching schools was the right choice for him and his goals. But my daughter is here in 6th grade at Tohoto, and so far loving her place. And she's hoping to stay here for the long haul. Excuse me, sorry. One of my strongest motivations for applying for the seat is to do everything that I can to ensure no other family ever feels that they need a backup plan due to uncertainty in our district. I've had the opportunity to work with many members of the current school committee in various capacities, professionally, through volunteer work, and even while leading an athletic team together. For those of you I have not yet worked alongside, I truly look forward to collaborating and accomplishing meaningful work together for the benefit of the district as a whole.
Okay. All right, Lisa.
So you did kind of answer it, but what motivated you now to?
Now, I actually had contemplated running when Jess, Lori, and Adam Wilbur ran, but I knew our district was in great hands, and I still was in the middle of a term as the co-chair for the Boylston PTO. So I decided to wait for the next term, and when the seat opened, it seemed like the right time.
When I got elected, some people viewed my community relationships within the district as a weakness, although I like to see it as a strength. How do you view your relationships when decisions need to be made involving people you know?
I also view it as a strength. And obviously any decision would be hard, especially if it's involving someone you know. But as long as you're making the decision for the right reasons, for the greater good of the district. I think it's an easy decision to make, but delivery might be difficult.
Thanks. So again, given your past PTO work and working together with the committee and the Berlin PTO a few years ago, what's your process for analyzing budget spending, determining whether it's a worthy program or not, et cetera?
Mostly, I do a lot of research on the spending and what it's going towards and, you know, what's going to be the best impact for the district as a whole. And it's more like analyzing what's going to reach the most students with your money. And that's kind of how I want to make sure that you're making the biggest impact.
How will you balance your loyalty to your individual community with the needs of the regional district?
I understand your question, but I don't really view our towns as individual towns anymore since the regionalization. We're all one district. And I see that across all the elementary schools. I just see them as the elementary schools, not Berlin Elementary versus Boylston Elementary. I no longer view it as separate towns. It's just one community.
Please briefly discuss how one of your specific previous work or volunteer experiences could be beneficial to serving on a school committee.
I would probably have to be the PTO chair. I got to know the district really well. I've attended many meetings. I've advocated for the students and for the staff through that role. And it's something that I really think has value in coming out to the school.
All right, thanks, Jackie, thanks for coming in.
All right, well, thank you guys for the opportunity to share more about myself and the reasons that I'm applying for the seat. I look forward to meaningful work that we can accomplish together. And if appointed, I'm eager to attend one of the March sessions of charting the course and begin contributing.
Thank you. Okay, so at this point, we'll see if there's any recommendations.
Can I make a motion?
Yeah.
Can I make a motion to nominate Jackie Hobson?
All right, that's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Lisa? All right. So we now have a motion on the table to recommend one of the candidates that we had, so feel free to discuss pros and cons of that candidate, please. Would anyone like to say anything?
I'm wondering about the process. So are we gonna do this for each candidate?
So the way we've done it in the past, when appointing committee members, is someone's made a motion to appoint one of the candidates to the seat. So then we can discuss that candidate, because that's the motion on the floor now, and we can vote yes or no.
Okay. And then like, let's just say the first candidate gets 4 votes, then if somebody nominates the second candidate and they get like,
So we're a 5-member board right now, so 3 votes is majority. So if a candidate gets 3 votes, then they're the candidate that gets appointed. That's how we've done it in the past.
Okay, will we have the opportunity to vote for more than one candidate, or we only pick one candidate?
Depends if the first candidate gets 3 votes or not. Yeah. So
It's
that's how-
gonna be rough, that's all I'm saying.
So you could amend the motion twice
Okay.
if you want.
So the motion on the floor is to appoint Jackie Hofstas to the committee. Is there anyone who wants to speak to that?
I think Jackie's a great candidate. They're obviously all three were really great candidates, and we're so lucky to have an option for 3 people. I personally jive with Jackie the most. I like the idea that she came here I didn't even know she came here as a school choice student. I didn't know that. I like your connection to the town and the fact that you came and that you've experienced it from different avenues. I appreciate the decision that you had to make with your son, and that you're still, you lived through that, and it dialed you in more. It didn't make you get more hands off. And I think that's a really admirable trait.
Anybody?
I think any of the three candidates would be incredible candidates, and I'm very excited for the district. I think, again, I'm in support of all three of them, so I really appreciate everyone being interested and being passionate about this district.
If I can just go back to Lisa's point about the process, I just think it back in my head. So last time we did this, I think was actually before the election, it was your seat. We appointed you when I think Bob vacated.
Yeah, but I was the only.
But you were the only one, right?
Yeah.
So before that. Yeah.
We appointed Bob.
Before that,
We
it was a
appointed
while ago
We appointed Bob,
when Susan left. Right.
correct, but we
But
had
he
a
was again
vacancy
the
for
only-
months.
He was again the only one.
He was also the only one.
Lori.
Before that.
No, it was
you
me,
and
Adam. There
It
were
was a-
6
Yeah, there was a
candidates.
bunch of candidates.
Correct.
And so the process was they all went through what we just went through,
Correct.
and someone made a motion to appoint one person. That person was discussed, voted on, that was a positive vote. Someone made a motion to appoint a second person, who was you,
Correct.
and that discussion was had, and that received positive votes. And so then that was it, that was the 2 that were
Yep.
appointed. So that's the process that we followed in the past. So that's the process that we're doing here. So I know we're in the discussion right now, but I just want to make sure that that was perfectly above board, clear. We're sticking with the way we've done it in the past.
Yeah, but you can talk about other candidates. We're in discussion right now. So I also
There's a
agree.
motion on the floor to appoint Jackie right now.
Right. Yeah, so I also agree with Jess. I think that all 3 would be really good. I feel like they all bring something different to the table. So Tara, are we able to like say, or you just want
And
to
we're
focus on Jackie?
discussing pros
Okay.
and cons for appointing Jackie. right
Okay,
now.
all right. So I think Jackie's PTO experience would be a really positive for the committee. And I do remember the budget that she worked on with Boylston, and she did attend a bunch of the FinCom meetings. And
Yeah, she ran the whole show with Link when Kyle was here and
Yep.
the whole presentation for both towns.
Yep.
It was great. Yeah, I agree. I think all 3 were great. I think Christina, your package that you submitted to us was very professional. Really enjoyed that. Unless anyone has anything else to say, we'll take a vote and we'll see how the vote goes. All right, so we'll do a roll call vote, Megan, since I'm looking at you.
so I feel like I could vote for any of them. So I'm having a hard time just picking one.
Yeah, it's a yes or no on Jackie right now.
Only one seat, unfortunately.
Yeah.
To have 3 people apply for.
I know,
for
we're
an interim
really-
seat
we're
is
super
very,
lucky.
yeah, very fortunate.
A yes or no on Jackie. And so can you explain to me again, if we vote yes for one person, does that mean we can't vote yes for anybody else?
No, it depends on,
If the
If-
motion fails.
yeah, if the motion fails, then we'll have
The next
someone make
person.
an.
So then you can, if it fails, then you would have an opportunity to vote.
So if I prefer somebody else over Jackie, I would have to vote no right now. I'm gonna abstain.
All right, Beth,
Aye.
Jess?
I
Lisa?
Aye.
All right, I'm an aye as well. That is 4 votes for and 1 vote abstain, so the motion passes. Jacqueline Hofsis is appointed to the school committee. Thank you, everyone. Like I said, Christina, I thought your package was the most professional package that we've received. I'm looking forward to your continued work on the PTOs. And Tara, I know yours came in at the last moment, so I don't know you personally. Haven't had a chance to meet with you, but I do appreciate your work as a teacher. Foreign language, if you've watched any of our committee meetings, I'm a big fan of foreign language and foreign trips and all of that. So thank you.
appreciate it. Papers are due in July for the upcoming.
Yeah, so-
So I just want to put tab that on your.
So before we get to July, papers will be available in April. They'll be sent from the state to the clerk. The clerk is Jen now for the school district. So Jen will have those in April. Also, as the clerk, Jen is now taking over the school committee's Facebook page. As soon as I can get the owner of the Facebook page connected with Jen to actually hand over that transition because they're no longer here anymore. So a couple bits of news about that. So papers will come out in April. They should be available. They'll be due sometime in July. They'll be sent off to the state in August, and then the election will be in November.
And also so Jackie's position now actually runs out in November.
Correct, yeah, this is only the unexpired term left by Lori. Yep.
So another chance.
And just for clarity, she has to go from the town clerk, is that correct?
Yeah, so get in touch with the town clerk tomorrow to be sworn in. There's an oath of office to take, and then there's some training to take, ethics, and you mentioned you already looked into charting the course, so.
And I made them aware last night, we were at a meeting, Aaron and I, so the town clerk was there, that they were swearing people in for different committees last night in the Boylston meeting, so they know that one of you is going to possibly even show up tomorrow, so that can take place as well.
Yeah, and our next meeting that you can participate in will be, what's the date, the 24th? Unless there's a meeting for some reason before that we don't know about yet, and you're sworn in, you can participate in that one too. Feel free to stay around tonight, whatever you like to do, but we're gonna move on with the rest of the meeting. All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So next up is public comment. If anybody would like to make public comment about anything on the agenda. I only see employees and our candidates in the room, so I don't know. Doesn't seem like there's any public comment, so thank you. We already kind of covered this. Superintendent search update is that the school committee has voted for, approved, and signed the contract. So we have a fully signed contract with Dr. Conway, who is here in the room with us tonight. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but is there?
Oh, yes, put them on the spot.
All over.
Sorry.
No, really thrilled, thank you. It's probably seen, but thank you for the opportunity and the conference. Had an opportunity actually to come, I was in district last Wednesday and attended an admin meeting and spent time with buildings in communication with Ms. Gannon and Jen, and very good. We're working on a transition plan, and I think there were a couple of communications, one that went out to staff today and one to families sort of introducing the, that's not a resume, for instance. So very happy to share that and look forward to the weeks, months ahead and diving in. So thank you.
All right, thanks, welcome. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Fred. Next on the agenda is our student liaison. I don't see.
Mr. Dell's going to be unavailable to attend tonight.
All right, no problem. Next up then is Al Ganem with the superintendent of schools report, please.
Yep. So first thing on the agenda is Berlin Memorial Principal Search. So I want to thank the people that have been in that first round of that committee. They did a screening of their resumes, and we had a good group of people that have applied. We're really excited about that. We're meeting on tomorrow, I think, correct? And looking through the rubrics that people scored on the resumes, and we're hopefully going to be able to narrow that down to a group that will then bring forward for the week of March 2nd, that first round of weeks, March 2nd, March 5th, to bring them in for interviews with that same exact group that screened the resumes. So we're looking at doing that on the 2nd and the 5th of March. After that, we'll go through those and narrow that down even further. So on the week of March 16th, our goal is to bring them into the district, get a chance to spend some time with Mr. Campbell, spend some time in Berlin, and spend some time meeting our families and teachers, the candidates. And then I'm hopefully going to do the week of March 23rd. I'm going to welcome Dr. Brent Conway to join us as well too. I'll do this final round of interviews that week of March 23rd, so be able to appoint someone as the new principal of Berlin Memorial. This is a key time, trying to get this done in March, because as we're seeing on School Spring, the amount of jobs that are coming out right now, this is the time of year. So us being able to confirm that will be really exciting for us, and be able to get someone to work with John as well too, do some transition work right now as well. So I'll keep you updated on that, but tomorrow we'll be able to narrow that group down to hopefully a group that will then bring in for the next round of interviews. The next thing on the agenda is the strategic plan update. Just want you to know our next meeting is March 3rd. I know that Christine mentioned as well too. It's really coming together really nicely now. the next part will be to seriously narrowing that down, the work that we've done. We did a survey that I have those that available for school members if you'd like to see that, where we got a lot of feedback from families, a lot of positive feedback came with that as well too. I'd like to share. Our next goal will be, once we have that strategic plan as a committee in a SWAT, we'll then start presenting that to the towns as well too. I've already talked to Kristen in April to come to some meetings there and be able to give them a look at what that strategic plan looks like. Then we'll come in from school committee and give you the opportunity to see that final look at that and to be able to vote on that. My plan is in June of this year to be able to hear Brent final strategic plan that this way that will drive this district both instructionally as well as financially for the next 5 years. And that will truly be a gift that we'll be able to give the new superintendent being able to lead that direction for our district. So that is the plan on that. I'll continue to keep you updated on that. And I thank the people that are on that committee, Lisa as well on that committee, as well as people in our admin team. There's some heavy lifting we're doing and some thoughtful conversations, but again, it's because we didn't have one. Right? If we had one, we'd be updated, but we're starting from scratch on this one. But I'll share that with you at the next school committee as well too. So thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Al. So administrator updates, we'll go for an update on Securely.
So I just wanted to follow up. Securely is a platform that we brought in to the district this year to help monitor student safety. It provides teachers with the opportunity to view the students' Chromebooks while they're working in class, make sure that they're staying focused and on task. But one of the platforms that was built into Securely that we took on was Securely Home. Since the beginning of January, in the school newsletters that have been sent home, we rolled out Securely Home for our families. And this gives them an opportunity to kind of control their devices at home, as long as it's a Chromebook and the kid's logged in with their school-issued Google account. So they can lock down, they can unrestrict, they can provide time limits on certain things, and just provide that extra layer of security and monitoring at home using the application that we're providing them through the district. Since the rollout, we've had 16 families enroll in it, in this platform that's being offered. So we have 19 students that are being monitored at home using this platform, but it's 16 families. I just wanted to, again, let families know that we are providing this to them. I believe it's still in the newsletters that go home on a weekly basis. They just fill out a form. I enroll them, they get a welcome letter. I know that Jessica is enrolled in it and she has firsthand experience in this platform. But again, it's just another layer of service that we're trying to provide our families in the district. And I just wanted to reiterate that, and hopefully we can get some more community involvement if parents want to be involved.
And Joe, that's built into the cost, really, that monitoring at home.
Yes.
We're not, the families are monitoring that at home.
Correct. So how that works is we have a set of parameters that are delegated during the school day. And then I think it's at like 4 o'clock, those parameters can then be controlled by families at home if you're involved with the Securely at Home. Otherwise, it's the same school parameters that just extend out, but after 4 o'clock, between the hours of 4 p.m. and we'll call it 7 a.m., the families can then have control where they can unrestrict some access or make it even more strict. Parents can monitor the websites that their kids are going on. They can look at what they're searching on in Google or any other platforms, as long as, again, they're signed in through their school account.
We highly recommend families to sign up for this, right? It's a really good way of paying attention to what's taking place with our students online, right? So please make sure, and we'll continue to roll that out as well too.
When you hear somebody mention, because a lot of the kids charge their Chromebooks in their bedrooms, so that's been the recurring issue is kids watching YouTube when they're supposed to be sleeping or whatever. So I was telling a family just this weekend that they didn't know about it. So if you hear someone complaining about their kid watching YouTube in bed, let them know that this is available. It's a great tool. It's all included.
I'm very excited.
I didn't ask this for Al's presentation, but does anybody have any questions for Al or Joe? Sorry. Okay, thanks, Joe. Al, is there a particular order to your principals and directors?
We do.
What it needs?
We do.
Okay.
So right now, just for the public to know, and I know that school committee knows, we have our budget presentation that I know that Aaron's going to be presenting. But one of the things that we've created and our principals and administrators and directors have been working on is really rolling that out to you in terms of what their needs are and what they're looking for as in the roles that they have. Their budget requests, the costs that go along with it, and the rationale as well. I know they had sent that off to school committee earlier, so if you had questions, I know some people did ask some clarifying questions for them, which will be helpful. So we're asking at this point now, we're gonna sort of do what we call an elevator pitch, right? So where it's an expression that's used that if you're in an elevator and you're going up in an elevator, what would be the conversation if you were trying to talk to someone about an important topic, and that's what we're gonna be doing tonight. Our audit first is we're gonna have the director of facilities go first, Dan, and we're doing that because Dan and I are probably gonna be talking about 4 a.m, so we want to get him with the snow coming, so we want to make sure we're taking care of our conversations really.
Snow?
We're not sure, but we would have thought Saturday we would have had that much snow either. So we're gonna have Dan come first if that's okay.
One thing, Al, so all of the forms that have been filled out that they're presenting on, that they're giving the pitch on, that's gonna be available, if it's not available already, on the website as part of the documents for this meeting. It's available now.
Yep.
So anybody in the public wants to go look at these, it's on the website under the school committee, all agendas. It should be the top link, probably, the meeting documents. So you can look at these anytime you like.
In every one of these presentations you're gonna see embedded into Aaron's presentation at the end of the budget as well too. Dan, you want to join us first?
Good evening, everyone.
Get out of the table.
How are you moving this evening?
Yeah, absolutely. Come on.
Hello again. Just I represent the facilities department. Looking for extra support for custodial staff second shift here at the Tohoto Regional. This place gets very busy at night. Tonight's actually quiet at night. Just for the cleanliness of the bathrooms, the locker rooms, gym, hallways. Just keep the place upkeep, secure, clean, a friendly environment for student, staff, and the community.
And just clarity on this, and I know we'll keep it at 2 minutes. So we have a custodian that works here at night that has his section, which is up here in the top part of the building. But anyone that's at any events here at night, and I know that Beth can certainly attest to it with all of our games and national honor societies and things that are taking place, like they bring food, they celebrate, they're wonderful. But once the custodian's done doing his section there, he comes down here, and people are great and help him pick up and pitch in. But we're really looking for another person to really be taking care of the sections down here, all of our games, bathrooms, all of that taking place. There's absolutely need. And we're looking for that extra FTE, if not even here at the high school, but if there's an event happening in Boylston one night, or if there's an event happening in Berlin, it could also be in Florida, but primarily would be here at Tohoto Middle High School.
Any questions for David?
Just wanted to reiterate that we're depending on people to basically volunteer to pick up after themselves.
That's right.
And when that doesn't happen, there just ends up with, there's food in the bleachers, there's bathrooms are trashed. If come here on a Friday night, you'll see, it's tough.
It's even more concerning on Thursday night when we have to have school open for the
Yeah.
6 a.m. the next morning
Yeah.
as well too, right? Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Dan.
Okay, go.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman? Gotta make sure the field is open for everybody.
Thanks, Dan.
Have a good night, everyone.
All right, I do have a short and brief presentation over here just to frame some of the work. But since our last budget season, we've taken a real deep dive into just all of our current resources and how we're utilizing these to best serve our students and the opportunities that we provide them. We've really looked at these through a lens of how do we provide our students who have the greatest needs. How do we continue to maintain and expand opportunities for our high achievers? and how do we continue to build college and career pathways for our students that are successful post-secondary moving forward. This work is really taking a careful look at.
Just Rich is here.
I know, I get this
So
back.
sorry.
There we go.
Ignore the people.
Losing you guys already. Ignore the people. We're gonna reset the clock here, right? All good, okay.
Now we're paying attention.
All right, thank you. In short, this has really required us to take a look at reallocating all of our current resources, taking a look at the courses that we're offering, the programs that we're developing, to really ensure that we're offering our students access and equity to opportunities and student choice, all right? There's been a lot of work that's been put in from the administration level down to our department heads, working with our teachers to really come up with mindful plans to continue growth here at Tohoto. What we are putting forward for our FTEs and for our request for this year is simply to be made whole. We lost 2 FTEs last year that have greatly impacted our operation. And while the FTEs that we're going to be bringing forward today might be a little bit of repurposing to best meet our students' needs now, these are the 2 FTEs that we were looking for to continue to drive us forward.
And just Rich, for clear, FTEs are full-time equivalency, right? So that's adding the positions on our full staff member.
Full-time teaching positions, 2 that we had lost. The first position that we have here is a repurpose of the world language FTE that we had lost last year. I shared some data points that you guys can view at the end of the presentation. Combination of both our most recent IXL testing that we conducted along with MCAS testing. In short, we take a look at this. We do have pockets of students who are reading far below grade level. In comparison to when you look at MCAS in comparison with the state, we're still well above the state average, but our expectations are higher. With this reading specialist, we really are looking to provide targeted evidence-based literacy interventions with a focus of closing this proficiency gap. Okay, the difficult part for us when we come over to the middle school age range is that our teachers who are licensed in ELA are not skilled and efficient in teaching kids decoding and encoding and phonics skills. And it's like if you missed that piece, those proficiency gaps just seem to widen further as we go down the line. We have a pocket of students that really need to build out some tier 2 interventions so that we are focusing on closing these proficiency gaps so that they can then be successful in-depth and accessing more in-depth coursework down the line, as that's the key to open it up at all. We would hope to use the reading specialists as well to help coach our other teachers in providing these supports to our kids. And also just monitoring progress and hopefully reducing referrals to special education because we're doing the work up front and closing these gaps for the long haul. Our other FTE that we are proposing is to bring back our biology teacher, which we had lost in the last budget season. Current staffing levels significantly limit our ability to provide supported classrooms and elective opportunities for our students. And this is only going to be more impacted next year. The pieces, when we take a look at it, just in terms of like looking at some of the numbers, our 9th grade class right now, which predominantly receives biology, is one of our smallest classes that we have. It's 62. Next year, we're looking at upwards of 90. That's already 2 sections of biology that we don't have. We also have pockets of students that are going to require more supported classrooms. That's going to require us to build in more classes that we did not need to offer this year in terms of like fundamental chemistry to help provide those supports in. What this does is it significantly limits our ability to offer then electives for other students, which are great opportunities that open up doors for them in the long haul. The other piece that's worth mentioning is science works very differently than it does in other teacher licenses. If you're an ELA teacher, you're licensed, grade 9 through 12, and you can teach it all. Science is very specific. If you're a biology teacher, you're a biology teacher. If you're a chemistry teacher, you're a chemistry teacher. And it really limits our flexibility in being able to offer these courses to our kids. The next 2 slides that we have are not budget requests, but I think it's important to note how these FTEs and teaching positions promote some of our ongoing work and long-term goals that we're looking to establish here. For us, it is the time where we're continuing to monitor all that's happening in the state. There's a lot of pieces that are being looked at right now in terms of what is the graduation expectations and the standards that are being set forward. The weight of, when we look at like seals of distinction and CTE pathways and all these new pieces that districts are starting to undertake this work to step out of that so that they're providing great college and career pathways for their kids. For us, this is a piece that is time to begin this work and take these initial steps in offering our kids these opportunities so that they're competitive when it comes to college admissions and also being well positioned if they're entering the workforce. What we are looking at, this is the piece where this is a step towards hopefully some long-term goals. This is something that we look to partner with Dr. Conway as we move forward and has some experience in this and looking at innovation pathways and CTE pathways, which I'm happy to discuss and ask questions on upcoming. But for us, we're looking to leverage our current electives that we're putting forward for kids to offer concentrations for them on both their diploma and their transcript. So we have currently undergone the work of putting forward concentrations that allow students to really explore college and career pathways prior to college. Some of these concentration areas that we're taking a look at is business, child development, humanities, STEM, arts, and tech engineering. These pieces right here really provide our kids a leg up when it comes to understanding what these jobs look like, the experience that they need from them, and really giving them an opportunity to pursue things that they like and enjoy, giving student choice back into it. I will say a lot of these things, we have a lot of great stuff that's already built in. I mean, when you take a look at like child development, we have a full early childhood education program where kids who go through that, they get a certificate at the very end that allows them to even open up preschool daycare. There's those pieces that we have these great pieces in, but how do we continue to leverage them to build and take from these stepping stones so we can continue to grow from here? I will say that our guidance office and our head of the guidance department, Eileen Rodman, has already looked in terms of like, if we apply this right now for our current graduates, like how many of our students would actually be able to award this on their diploma? And it's every single student. There's a lot of work to be done in terms of looking toward the future, work studies, internships, things. We want to continue to grow and build from here. But I think this is a great starting point that opens up a lot of doors for a lot of work to be done. And we're hoping to open this up and with these positions, push some of this forward. My last piece that I'll add, just to give another nod for the bio, is if you take a look at our STEM, if we're looking to provide opportunities for kids to get concentrations in this area, and what are our biggest places that kids actually want to pursue for college. If you're looking at nursing, for example, they're going to need that bio, that AP bio, they're going to need that anatomy elective, they're going to need those opportunities to get that foundational knowledge over there to be competitive. So all of this intertwines, and we hope to continue to utilize these positions to grow in this process. Was I 2 minutes?
We're going to catch up with Mr. Campbell in a second.
Rich, can you clarify something? So you mentioned college and career, and you said it so fast that I really caught the emphasis of college. Well, when you say career, are you suggesting that not necessarily a college or maybe not traditional college route, there's another route here for kids that may not be on that traditional college path?
Yeah, I mean, that's the reality. Not every kid is going to go to college now. We do want to provide these opportunities for our kids that are looking more for the workforce. And when you take a look at like the idea of a concentration, and we're casting a wide net for like business, for example, this really allows them to explore that workforce, get that experience, learn those skills, And, while this is a multi-year process in terms of where do we go from here, and obviously there would have to be a lot of stakeholders who are involved in wanting to grow this, but looking for, as we do for our child development, offering certain certifications that when they walk out the door and they graduate, that they have those. And that's a key component of it in terms of an area where we can grow.
Does anybody have any questions for Rich?
Very
Just-
exciting.
Yeah, just how excited about the pathways. It's awesome.
A lot of good work in it.
Yeah.
No, I'm very excited. This is really like the next step.
Mhm.
And I really appreciate the work everyone did to come up with this.
You guys?
I appreciate the presentation. It was very sad to cut the science teacher along with the world language too.
We're actually going to make it back whole again at that time,
Yes, yes.
Very much so.
just for clarity on that.
So that's the only asks, are those 2 FTE heads?
Those are our number ones. That's what we're moving forward.
Good.
Beautiful.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you all.
Mr. Campbell.
Rich, did you need a few more minutes? Did you want me to get you coming on?
This could be your last one, Mr. Campbell.
I was just gonna say,
Sorry.
there are many, many things that I'm gonna miss about the job and working here. The budget season will not be one of them. Ready, set, look, you should watch Rich, and that's, I only have one, but it's very straightforward. Ms. Sequeira has actually the most important one, but because it involves both schools, she's going to address that. We have had for several years a woman who comes in, she covers lunch and recess for us. And she's done it, I think this is her 4th year. Every single year we fire her because we can't afford her. And then every single year we decide, oh wait, we really need her. And we bring her back. This past year it was because we had some extra money after the Apple TV people were here and paid us for the use of the gym and the grounds, we used that money. I don't care how it gets paid for, but because Apple TV probably will be back. It's important to take this little job, which provides so much stability for everything else we do through the center of the day, and just give this poor woman some peace of mind. So that's my big ask, and wait less than 2 minutes, and not one slide. Does anybody have any questions about Cheryl Riley and her very important job, which costs, by the way, $13,000?
And just for clarity, John, having that position what you're looking for allows the teacher to do less duties, right, in the lunchroom as well, right? Right, because she covers lunch duties as well.
She covers lunch and recess, yeah. Probably more, it allows pairs as well. But the more important part is because she's got the same rules, all the kids know what the rules are. They know
The
how to line up.
consistency.
It's not different every time. Good?
She runs a tight ship.
She runs a
Nothing
very
on
tight
that
ship.
floor when they walk out of there, like it's. tight
I don't mess
ship
with
today.
her.
I wouldn't either.
Thanks.
Thanks, John. Any final questions? John, you're not free yet?
So that allows more planning time, more lunch time?
It's
or-
more,
Just say yes.
yes.
Thank you, John.
I'm getting a cookie.
That's Rob.
There's brownies too.
You know?
In there. Oftentimes when I'm here for a budget request, I'm usually talking about a specific population, perhaps a position that would work specifically students with disabilities or preschool, multilingual learners, etc. But today, my budget request for FY27 serves all students across the entire district. A little bit of background, in our health offices, we have, obviously we have a health office in all 3 school buildings. We have a full-time school nurse in all 3 buildings. And then in addition to that, we have a float nurse that works across the district. And we have that float nurse 2 days per week. We are at the point where we do need to increase that float nurse position up to full-time, up to 5 days per week. That position is essential to the safe operations of our health offices across the district. Our student population in the district in all 3 buildings includes students that have have challenging medical conditions that require the presence of a school nurse in order to attend to school safely. The float nurse provides us with that ability in the event that we have absences. Our nurses are people too, and sometimes they need to be absent. Although we do have a great pool of substitute nurses, they often have other jobs, other commitments, they work for other districts, they're not always available, and they're not always available on short notice. This school year alone, we've actually had 7 incidents where we've been short on nursing in the district. And having a full-time float nurse in the district would really help us address that. Because if we have an unexpected absence, we have that nurse available to cover that building. In addition to just the absences, there's a lot more that the float nurse does. There's a lot of screenings. There's a lot of documentation. There's a lot of parent communication. There's a lot of sick visits. There's a lot of medication. And we also know the school committee has been really great about supporting field trips. A lot of field trips now require a nurse to attend so that all students can participate safely. So that is the request, is to increase our float nurse position from 2 days per week up to 5 days per week. And I believe that the associated cost with that is approximately $60,000 across the district. Any questions, right?
Anybody?
And the amount of paperwork that nurses have to do, right, and monitoring that. So if there was a nurse that wasn't out, that would be our lead nurse that would be overseeing and evaluating and supervising the other nurses, as well as the paperwork that goes along with that as well.
Right. Yeah, there's just so many layers that are hard to imagine all of those pieces, but certainly the lead nurse has a role in that, as well as in coordinating that coverage and coordinating the coverage in buildings when there's an absence.
We call her the lead nurse, but she's really housed here at Toronto and doesn't have the opportunity to work with the other nurses.
Right, yeah, right. The current arrangement, our lead nurse is one of our full-time school nurses, and so she does some lead nurse work for us early in the morning and in the afternoon and in between when she can fit it in. And this is really a great opportunity for some, additional coordination and improvement overall.
And God forbid something should have ever happened on those 7 days, just so you know, they cover it, but they also know that we just dial 911 if there was ever an emergency or something like that.
Absolutely.
We want a nurse in every building. We want coverage for that as well too.
Right. And that means that our lead nurse is often, when we're short in a building, is traveling between the buildings, trying to sync up to medication schedules and go back and forth. And as we all know, as much as we would like, none of us can actually be in places like this.
This is going to be a dumb question, but I thought it was the law that there had to be a nurse in the school at all times, or is that just to administer medication?
It's to do with the medication.
Okay.
That's right. Because we're not able to delegate medication in general.
So if there was a period of time where a nurse, for whatever reason, was not in the building and a child needed their medication, you'd have to send that child home?
No.
Well, and that's why we have the nurse right now. The lead nurse, Lisa, would be traveling between the buildings to make that arrangement.
I would say this is a critical position,
We've
given that information.
And there's a ratio that's recommended as well, but
There is, yeah, there's the recommendations, the ratio recommendations actually are from 1998, so quite some time ago. And when they were last done, the recommendation is to have a full-time school nurse for every 500 students. So Tohoto is actually a little bit over that.
Mm.
So the current arrangement of a float nurse 2 days per week actually helps us with that ratio here at Tohoto. That float nurse now, out of those 2 days, tends to be here at least 1 day because that helps address that ratio.
And we're looking for consistency, right? So we have a pool of subs that we use, but that Lisa works her magic in making sure that there's coverage there as best as she can. But if we were to have consistent nurses, they know the students, they know the buildings, they know what medication's kept, all of that.
It's a very different role than it was
That's right.
25 years ago.
Absolutely.
It's a much more required, it's not like bloody noses and headaches. It's medication, diabetes.
Feeding tubes.
Yeah.
Right, feeding tubes, right. The list, I mean, I shared with all of you a short list of some of the challenging and, ongoing medical conditions that our nurses support throughout the school day.
But at the same time, Beth, those things still exist. The bloody noses, the
Yeah,
falls
right,
at the
yeah, they do.
playgrounds and all of that.
They do. complicated. Thanks a lot.
Anything else? Thanks, John.
Yep, thank you.
Who's this guy?
Thank you guys for having me. I don't mind budget season as much because I truly believe it's what you value, so you purchase what you value. And I'm hoping you'll consider my 2 requests. I am currently, Boylston Elementary School has 3 sections of kindergarten all the way up to 4th grade, 3 sections across the board. Our 5th grade this year has 2 sections due to class size. Our 4th grade going to 5th grade will have 66 students in it. So my ask is really a numbers game. I'm hoping that ask for a 5th grade teacher to offset that class of being 33 in each room versus 22. That's a major ask, my request. And my other is very similar to John's. I want the same consistency in my cafeteria, but I think John and both Al were alluding to it. Having classroom teachers spending time in the cafeteria as much as I have to have them in there is such a, I don't want to say a waste, but there's so much more value that they could be doing in my classrooms, in my school, getting ready for the next session, just prepping and being together as one rather than, cleaning tables. So I totally understand the severity of having the consistency and the need for that, but I also really want to state how important it would be to have just, my teachers all have to do two duties right now. I would love to reduce that by 1. So my other ask is the same as John's asking for a cafeteria worker. And I know there's some confusion with the recess librarian that you guys, last year, there was some talk about how the librarian that we would have as the paraeducator, just that we were not able to fully staff the cafeteria and the recess with that person. That didn't cover the whole gamut of the coverages needed for that. So, because I know that question came up.
And not only that, when teachers are on duty, right, that means then we have to provide them a lunch at another time. And so that means we have to have coverage for them and they're not in front of the students delivering their instruction. So that's a big piece of this as well, too.
Questions from everyone? All right, see you later.
Thanks, Rob. Catching up on time. Lisa?
We're just gonna go back. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us have this conversation. And I want to echo how very excited I am about all the work that's being done at the district level. There's really exciting work to be done. I'm here as the Director of Curriculum Grants advocating for 3 important budget requests. The first request is for an ELA instructional coach for the elementary schools. This addresses a specific district need that is not limited to Berlin and Boylston, but is a concern that we're seeing nationwide. An ELA instructional coach would serve as a district-wide instructional leader with expertise in the science of reading, supporting educators in co-planning and delivering consistent curriculum across the district, which is an important factor, and would also be critical in leading data meetings that would inform instruction. We will be embarking on an ELA curriculum review and adoption cycle this upcoming year, where the elementary schools, our current curriculum is 6 years old. We have seen how important and critical our math coach is in the review, adoption, and implementation process for new curriculum. We need this for ELA as well across the district. Which leads into my next request, the money for the pre-K through 5 iReady math curriculum. You've already approved the curriculum, which is an intensive process to go through various different curriculums and understand what is the best fit for our district and for our students and for our teachers. I am seeking the allocation of money to move forward with this purchase. With this, we can ensure implementation with fidelity, the coordinated curriculum across the district with our math coach. This will help to provide the structure as well as the curriculum materials needed to build on our current math gains without losing our traction. This is a highly rated curriculum through the DESE portal. They have a section called Curate where they identify all high-quality instructional materials. It's also highly rated in ed reports as well as recognized as high quality. Lastly, I would like to.
Lisa, just so sorry to interrupt
Sorry.
you. So I know school committee voted on this already a while ago
Correct.
about the math. You had a chance to review it as well too. I know many of you took it home. But for the public, we just wanted to make sure that this was part of the presentation. That will be given to both Bolton and Berlin as well. So we just didn't want that because it's a big number, and we wanted to make sure that that was being just brought to the front and center as well for when we go from the town.
So the curriculum has been voted on, but the allocation of the money needs to be moved forward.
Makes sense.
So lastly, this is really an ask. It's a small number ask for the middle high school. I would like to ask for your support in accessing the AVID platform. This is a powerful tool in supporting students in writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading skills. It can be integrated into current curricula. It can also be offered as elective courses. This is really money to access this platform. This program provides instruction and tutorials in career and college readiness. It really is focusing on those middle students. It's not focusing on, our most struggling students. It's not focusing on our, advanced students. We're focusing on those students who need support in organization and executive functioning skills and really highlighting goal setting. And this particular access for AVID would provide professional development and opportunities for curriculum. Any other questions?
Yeah, thanks.
The only question I had was, I know that we had a previous elementary math curriculum, so I guess and I know I asked the question and somebody had answered it, that it wasn't in the budget, but didn't we have money at some time in the budget for an elementary math curriculum? And do we not allocate like annual, I'm like looking at Aaron, because it's more of a money question.
Yeah, so I am not aware of it being in the past couple of years' budgets. With that said, if it was in a budget previously, what's happened is that money has either rolled back into whatever bucket of money you would have apportioned. So at the end of the year, what makes up our excess and deficiency or free cash is sort of any unspent funds, right? So that money would have rolled back into its appropriate location. So if you go to slide 22 of my presentation, you will see our ask for this funding.
But to answer your question, we have not seen that anywhere in the budget in the last couple of years that at least we've been looking at it. Previous to us, we're not sure.
But we paid for curriculum, but what you're just saying, it was like maybe 5 years ago, we paid in full, or it hasn't, and we're not, so I guess what I'm trying to ask is, our previous practice has not been to budget a little bit for each year. We're budgeting one lump sum in whatever the contract year is, and
Yeah.
maybe we need a better.
Some of it has to do with the way curriculum works.
Yeah.
Is, you will buy a system, and that system will sometimes get you access for X period of time. At some point, that sort of, the standards change, the methods change. At some point, you update your curriculum one way or the other. And I think our current is past its time.
Joe,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Joe, do you want to chime in here, our math coach? Do you want to talk a little bit about this at all?
It's
I think she's right.
envisioned, yes.
It's always been we'll wait the 3 or 5 years and then we'll just throw that one budget item. I think planning, knowing that in 3 years or 5 years, whatever the contract is, knowing we're gonna have to re-up that contract, it's probably a strategic idea to start taking a little piece each time. But that's part of this big rebuilding.
Or have a reserve account for curriculum or something like that. I don't know if you have a,
It's
know
gonna
what I
happen
mean?
with the ELA coming up as well, because I'm assuming that hasn't been.
Right, that hasn't been
budgeted along.
appropriated for 6 years. And so just as Erin said, the Envisions was a 5-year, program, and we paid for 5 years. We're paying, this one is 3 years, and then at that point, the whole district will be on a math cycle. So then we can pick a curriculum that aligns pre-K through 12. And that's always kind of been a sticking point because there were different curriculums revolving at different times. And the alignment hasn't been there. So this cycle will help to align.
But that means in 3 years, you're gonna have a bigger.
Right.
Yeah, I guess my point is instead of having this huge $110,000 ask and then next year it's not in there, so we use it for something else, can't we ask for like $45,000 a year over 3 years or $20,000 a year for 5 years? And, it's built into the budget. I know we need the cash to pay for it, right? We have to pay for it up front, so I get that. But if it's built into the budget, so we have a little bit every year, it's a curriculum. It's not something new. It's not like, oh, we're adding a curriculum. It's just a new curriculum we have to move forward with. So I just feel like, because I know how the towns are going to say, oh, this is what we have to play with this year for new stuff. And it's like, well, this isn't really new. So I don't know, just something to think about and just more to understand about that, just so we don't kind of get like dinged for like.
We'll put it in and see how it goes. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lisa.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Jess, sorry, Lisa, hold on. Jess, did you have a question?
Oh, no, the ELA coach, I know we had a reading coach previously and we had to take it out of the budget because it wasn't filled, and so we decided we could cut it for then, but we're putting it back in because our reading scores show we need it.
Right, and I think that in the material that Rich put together and my material and in discussions with Joey, we really have seen that it's not having the ELA coach has taken a toll on our scores and the ability to provide consistency across the district. And we're advocating for a reading specialist at the high school, the middle high school level. That foundation work really needs to be done at the elementary school.
In the ELA coach will be working with our teachers, working on the new reading program, working and providing that professional learning as well too. Working with our teachers on those faculty meetings as well too. Answering any questions they might have about the curriculum with ELA as well.
Okay, anybody else? All right, now thank you, Lisa.
Okay, thank you.
Joe?
So my ask is for the funding to increase the number of hours of my technology support specialist. That this position currently seated by Alex behind me is allotted. Right now he has 35 hours a week. And anything that is required of him after hours, such as being here tonight, is taking away his ability to service the classroom, service the students, and service the staff, because he has to take his allotted hours and adjust them because he's here, and now it's taken away from being able to service the everyday classroom in the everyday school setting. So the ask that I have for you, with the increase of the funding, and right now it's roughly $6,500 to give him that allotted time to bring him up to give him that extra 5 hours a week to service the school district and as well as service here. We're also asking him to take on servicing the websites and making sure that those are up to date and on a more regular basis. It would give him the hours to do these things. We've also seen an increase in ticket requests, help desk requests. Last year alone, we had roughly 450 submitted tickets. This year to date, we've had over 450 tickets submitted. So the requests are coming in with the new curriculum that's going to be coming out with the upgrades in technology and the new platforms. This position also services the MCAS tests. The students taking in the staff that are proctoring the MCAS test. We're just looking for the ability to make sure that he has the available time to be in the school to service the district and needs that we have.
I've had a chance to meet with Alex a number of times. He's doing incredible work for us, but appreciate every time he's here. And the filming is and the audio, we're really getting it to a good spot. We can't have him in the schools, right, to accommodate the hours that he has. So the other part is, he's doing incredible work. We don't want to lose him, right, full-time position or somewhere else. So we want to continue to keep that consistency we're having in the tech department. And that would make us have 3 full-time FTEs total in a district our size for technology and repairing as well too. So it's definitely a need.
Questions for Joe?
I was curious, historically speaking, we had students volunteer into filming. We had those classes, so I'm curious if that also could be brought back to alleviate Alex from having to be here.
It's, my understanding is those classes have kind of gone away, so we don't really have those programs in place anymore. I mean, Dave and I have talked about exploring these opportunities. We just haven't had the ability to sit down and look into it anymore.
And truthfully, we're being a little cautious, right, in the filming and the audio, right? We've had a couple of maybe hand slappings on us, right, for not maybe filming it the right way, or the audio might have not been on at the right time. So we've had some complaints filed, so we're making sure that it's consistent. But I agree that students, great opportunity.
I mean, I think they had headsets and listening to make sure it was being recorded.
Yep, definitely the future.
Thanks, Joe.
Great. Aaron?
Before, Aaron, you can come on up, but before you go, so just so the public knows, all those reports that we just heard about, that there's a lot of detail, these reports that everybody put together, they got charts in there and data in there that support why they wanted. So last year, when it came to budget time, we got to our March budget hearing, the room was full, and it was a surprise to everybody about what the budget asks were, even though we've been talking about it since December, right? So this is the first time we're talking about it. Aaron's gonna give us a little bit of information on how it affects the budget tonight. But our next meeting on February 24th is the big budget meeting where Aaron will tell us every single detailed number, what it's gonna cost the towns, or maybe not, I don't know, but that will be a big one to watch. And then the March 10th meeting will be the opportunity. That'll be a hearing where everybody can come in and say, yes, I don't care about the math curriculum, cut that, but give me my biology teacher, or whatever it is that people, not the committee, but community want to say about the budget and what you're gonna support at town meeting. So that's sort of the roadmap from here until town meetings. Tonight, we're hearing about the asks. Next meeting in a couple weeks, we will hear about the exact numbers. And I say exact numbers, but they will likely change come March 10th. They'll likely change from March 10th to May 3rd, I think, is the town meeting. But that will be the public's opportunity to hear about the budget. So nobody should say, I didn't know you were voting on the budget tonight. Here it is. Spread the word, tell your friends. Jed put it on Facebook. Everybody watches Facebook. So that will be, this is the opportunity if you've got an opinion about the budget, what's being added, what won't get added, what the towns will support, what they won't support. This is the opportunity for that. We're starting now. There's at least 3 more meetings before the committee actually votes on the budget. So the committee will take a vote on the March 10th date. That will be the number that gets certified to the towns. That will go to town meeting unless, of course, it changes between then, and we know that it usually does. So, but that's the process. So,
I'm curious,
yeah.
If we could put our schedule, the budget schedule, like, this was the meeting, this was the preliminary budget, these are the specific like hyperlinks to these asks in the budget presentation, and then our next meeting is this, just so people can see it within the newsletters for each of the elementary schools and the high school. I didn't see the school committee meeting on those newsletters this week. So I think it would be really helpful just to get, shot in front of the bow to say, hey, this is happening.
We can put it on our website as well too as pop-ups. We just finished the pop-ups for school committee members. That there was a lot of them there, but we can certainly add this to that. And the other thing that I think will be helpful for Brent is the feedback and for our admin of this process, right? So it's a little different than we did it last year, right? Doing the elevator pitch, giving that ahead of time to you so you had a hard copy to look at and ask your questions. So we weren't having the questions back and forth yet, so we can answer them ahead of time. But absolutely, so we'll look forward to feedback on that as well.
Mike, one more question. I know you had invited the town administrators and the select boards. Will they be coming next time, or are you guys just meeting with them separately offline?
So you guys have a meeting with them, right? You met this weekend.
So we met with Berlin, both FinCom and Select Board and Capital We met last night with the select board from Boston, but that was had to do with the roofing project of Boston Elementary. And we've talked to April. April has a copy of this budget, and she'll be inviting us to come in to talk to her committees as well too. But this budget presentation was given to Boston as well too. So we're waiting for the invite from them as well.
I think it's like they do it late.
Yeah. Aaron, you good? Sure.
Oh, just about the pop-ups, is there any way to only have it come on?
Yeah, there's a thing at the bottom. It's gonna do that thing again.
So at the bottom of the pop-up, it says, don't show me this message again.
You know, register for
preschool. You mean the school committee one was irritating to you? Well, where I'm at.
All right, thanks. Aaron, what do you got?
Alrighty, another budget season is well underway. We're going to go through a quick presentation. I'm not going to dwell on some of the individual line items as we do, as well as what's already been presented. But I did want to comment, Megan raised the point of setting up reserve accounts. Great idea. I will look at the state limits us to the types of reserve accounts we can have. I'm not sure if, say, a curriculum reserve account fits. I will look at that. One of the challenges, though, with setting up reserve accounts is a lot like, my personal life. No matter how many pockets my pants have, I'm limited by how much money my wife gives me, right? So unless we have money to put in those reserve accounts, right? Yeah. To your point, you made a point, like, well, we need money to put in it somehow. It's hard to fund those, and having a whole bunch of, I can't tell you how many times I've had people say, well, don't we have a reserve account for that? Well, yeah, you may have voted one in 15 years ago, but you never put a dime in it. So now it's like, it doesn't exist, it either exists or doesn't exist. So I think we can look at that. It's certainly worth talking about. We do have a couple pots of money, and we'll talk about those pots of money later. And those are our excess and deficiency in our school choice accounts. Those are places where we can save some money. And I think we could even make sure that we're delegating some of our choice money to stay in the choice account for curriculum. So it doesn't mean that even if we don't have a reserve account, we can't sort of delegate a certain portion of money towards that. And one-time costs or individual event costs are really good uses of those money. It's really hard to use those on ongoing operations, and we'll talk about that a little bit. So Joe gave me the power to walk through this. So my budget presentation will be broken into three major parts. We'll be talking about the operating budget, the investments requested by the staff, and then we will get into capital items. Quick note, as we talked about before, there were cuts made to last year's budget. We cut the biology teacher, as Rick shared, a world language teacher here at Tohoto. There were other cuts across the district that were challenging. We are hoping to not have to make more cuts. We are hoping to be able to improve upon things and make investments in our children's future. With that said, I do think it's worth sharing that we are, within this budget, we are including that additional 5th grade classroom. We're considering that a service level situation because of the size of that class moving up. It would be extremely difficult to have 2 elementary classrooms with 33 students each in them. So that's something that we're definitely keeping. As I talked about, you will see the math curriculum on slide 22. So these are some of the major budget cuts. I talked about the biology teacher. We cut health teachers at the elementary school, as well as the world language teacher, as well as some smaller cuts. Really important caveat to this budget as we move into this year. There are other districts thinking a little differently about this. But with the closure of the Federal Department of Education, a lot of people are talking about what is going to happen to some of those major educational grants.
My personal opinion is very likely, for better or worse, I have no real opinion on it one way or the other, that those would end up as what's called block grants. And the federal government would block grant those to the states with certain provisions for their use. Ideally, those formulas would remain similar. Our district receives about $300,000 that we apply towards the budget that would be impacted. So, we are hoping those are for very specific purposes, and we assume that those purposes that are based on the law would stay in place. There might be specific items related to the administration's wishes and desires that they might add on to that, but largely. So right now, looking at the overall, our proposed budget comes out to $26,928,214. That's an increase of about $2.5 million and a 10.3% cut. I had one very, very small change come in yesterday, and I want you guys to realize I am updating the budget with every new little piece of information that comes in. So it's actually a 10.19% right now, related to a small item that changed the budget. Moving on by cost center. So you'll see district-wide has a relatively significant increase without a big change in staffing. That is largely due to a move of some items that are being moved to the district office. So as you'll recall, in the past, there has been a curriculum director stipend that has been received by one of our principals at the elementary level, and then a full-on curriculum director at Tohoto. This budget proposes saving a little bit of money and moving that position entirely to the district office, so it supports the entire district, K-12, pre-K-12, sorry. Additionally, one of the items that Janelle and I have talked a lot about is translation. Translation services are very difficult to do at the school-only level. They're very IEP-based, they're very based on language needs of individual families that change and come and go. There have been comparable amounts budgeted at each school. We've just moved those funds. It's only about $12,000 all told from there to the district office. It also means that we can consolidate some of those efforts. So when we're translating things, instead of worrying about, is this a Boylston translation, is it Berlin, is it Tohoto, that translation service is just for the entire district. So what the resulting product, because we're a product of the district. So big increase, I understand that. The goal is to bring this budget down every meeting from here. So this is what we consider sort of the most conservative or worst case scenario budget, given what we're looking at now. I'm not going to dwell on every function area in the interest of time. We'll talk about these items a little bit more in the upcoming budget meetings, but you do have some comments on each item that has a significant change. And I'm happy to have conversations individually if people have questions, and we will move through. Berlin, again, you'll see the removal of the curriculum director that's being moved to the district office and consolidated as an example of some of the changes. Boylston, same thing, that curriculum director and a few changes. Happy again to talk about individual changes with folks if they want to talk about schools. Tohoto, same thing. I won't dwell on individual line items yet, but all of those changes, you'll see the curriculum director moving to the district office. That's one big shift. So some things to consider, and this is a lot of what gets us into the conversation of why this is a most conservative budget. Right now, our budget is based on the governor's budget. The governor's budget came out a few weeks ago. The governor has funded Chapter 70 at $75 per student as minimum aid. We appear to be at or close to a minimum aid situation when I look at our Chapter 70. This past year, due to inflation and health insurance, The legislature brought that number up to $150 per student. It is unlikely that we will get that information before we have to finalize our budget. But part of our excess and deficiency at the moment includes those additional funds that came into the budget for this year. So as we talk about utilizing a little bit of excess deficiency possibly down the road, those are funds that I would be comfortable with carrying over into using towards the budget as we think about that. Out of district tuition, Janelle and I will probably be having weekly conversations throughout the next month, talking about individual situations, move-ins, move-outs. Right now, we have, again, very conservative figures. The figure I have in for circuit breaker is based on another conservative estimate based on this past year. Janelle and I will go through all of the placements. Janelle will be doing sort of a pro forma review of circuit breaker to get a guess as to where we will be and how much money we will have. We also do have some retained rolled funds that we have available in circuit breaker that we might utilize if we feel like that's necessary. We have not utilized excess and deficiency for operations in this iteration. As I talked about, we could use some excess and deficiency. I'd like to see where our balances consistently roll to and where we're coming to this year in terms of what we might be willing to put forward for excess and deficiency. You will also see that we are committing to some excess and deficiency for one-time costs. And we'll talk about those a little later. Final health insurance figures are supposed to range from 2.9 to 14.4%. I did get an email today from our representative with Maya, our insurance provider, asking to talk about rates. I assume he is going to give us our rates. Right now I have 15%. The highest it will be is 14.4%. So I'm hoping we're less than 14.4%, otherwise we're close. But assuming we're somewhere in the middle, that would be savings. Maybe we'll be at 2.9%, knock on wood, who knows? Yeah. Fingers crossed. So the next few slides talk about proposed investments in the district. And this is using one-time funds to make some investments in the betterment of the district largely, or doing some things that we need to do. And we'll move into that in a moment. So, these are the investments that we just talked about. I apologize, I have other slides for investments for one-time costs. So these are exactly the ones, we have them arranged by priority. We have 3 priority levels, priority 1, priority 2, and priority 3. I'll let you read those at your leisure. You will see P2, P2, and P3 on the second slide. I just consolidated priority 2 and priority 3. These are not ranked in order. If we do determine that there's funding available for these positions, we would go back to the table with our administrative team and talk about what we would recommend to the school committee based on largely these priority levels and how much money is available.
Aaron, if I could just jump in. So these P1, P2, P3, the priorities, although we're presenting this to school committee for the first time, our budget, this is the work that this team has been doing, right? We've been meeting since, I think, even before the holidays and deciding what our priorities. Do they think they need all 3 of them? Yes, but they're being mindful of what we can also afford. So that's why they narrowed it down to these are the top things that they really feel they need, those priority ones, to be able to have a high quality education next year in our schools. So this is the work that we've all done. It's just not Aaron and I presenting this, it's everyone here.
And I apologize, slide 16 is an extraneous slide that I meant to take out. So ignore it. I was cutting and pasting things and moving them around, and that one got left in. So moving on to our capital budget, we are considering a number of one-time investments in our capital planning. So it's not just sort of hard capital items, but it's one-time investments. You will see some of these are fairly aggressive amounts. One of the things to remember is we will likely be over our cap for excess and deficiency. We will have a need to spend down some money, period, from our excess and deficiency. We have not spent money from school choice for the past 2 years. So we've taken money in and we've not spent money out as part of the budget. That's largely due to some luck. We've had a few things swing our way that's allowed us to not have to use school choice. We did put school choice forward towards this budget. We may have to use a portion or all of that, but we do have a robust school choice account. And so we feel like it makes sense. Our auditor will very likely tell us that we should spend some of that down. And our position is that we should probably invest in some things. We also have a big ask on the table, and we have some investments we're asking the towns to make on our behalf. By picking up some of these costs, these one-time or capital costs, we're hoping there's a little bit of olive branch extended in that we are doing our work to try to better the district with the funds we have.
And Aaron, just, I know that's David Bell, the funding. We really feel that we got a good handle on the budget right now, right? So when we first came into this, there's no secrets here as a district, we were very close to a 1/12 budget, right? We were working very hard with Michelle Griffin and the Department of Education, right, to really see exactly where our budget was at. And that's one of the reasons why we were brought in here. But now we're feeling that we have a handle on this and where our funding is. And so that's why we're presenting the budget this way to you guys now.
Sure. So the very first item on capital is our debt for Tohoto. Looking at the schedule, so this is the debt service payments that we will need to be making this year. I think as you'll recall, we had 2 years where it looked like those were calculated incorrectly and provided to the towns. We corrected that in 2026, and we're continuing that correction going forward. The Tohoto debt should be paid off. The first bond should be paid off in 2031. So we're 5 years, and the second should be in 2033. So a little bit longer, but within 5 to 7 years, Tohoto will be all ours, for better or worse. See?
Just the time to be looking at new school, right?
Okay.
Sorry.
So here's where we get into some of the heavy hitters. So these are the asks we're making with the school committee to first come from E&D and school choice. As you know, Tohoto has had almost no capital investment in the past, at least for the past 2 years. So this is an effort to try to help correct that through some of the excess and deficiency that I believe we have. I know we have at least enough to fund this. It's a matter of whether we'll have some to put into operations. We are awaiting, and I know that our excess and deficiency packet is with the individual who's looking at it right now. So when they get your packet, it just sits in line, it gets queued up. And finally, they are reviewing our packet now. I'm hoping to have those numbers by the end of the week and or questions from them that I'll answer, and we'll get that done. To begin with, student and staff technology devices have not been updated in, I want to say 3 years. So we have been sort of limping along in the Chromebooks we have, the staff devices in some cases, robbing Peter to pay Paul sometimes. This will reinvest into the student and staff technology at Tohoto. I think as we've talked about, the IDF and elevator controls air conditioning unit needs to be replaced. That's essential. If that goes, we have a lot of electronic components. The IDF is what our phone system runs off of. So if that were to go down and that would overheat, our phones would go down. And then we'd have to replace it and a server, and we don't want to look towards that. The auditorium lighting and projector has been on our capital request for a few years now. It kind of has kept getting kicked down the road. year after year. That is a very frequent rental for us, the auditorium. Many, many events take place there, including town meeting for the town of Boylston. We are proposing replacing that. Lighting controls and gym lighting, I think as you may recall, the controls for the gym lighting are out of service. So we're having to sort of manually at the breaker box. I don't know if Nan's still here, but I think we're turning those on and off at the breaker box, which is not a recommended means of turning lights on and off. Our general lighting controls are out of date. So we are proposing to replace sort of the district's, the school's lighting controls overall, as well as that gym lighting piece. Wireless access points, our wireless access points overall are coming to end of life. One way or another in the next year or two, we'd be asking to replace those. So we're putting this on there. Middle school furniture, as you'll recall, we replaced some middle school furniture this year. We shared that middle school furniture is really elementary school size. There are many middle schoolers that are bigger than me. I've sat in those chairs and I look silly. I'm sure they look silly too when they're trying to sit in those chairs. So we did bring in some furniture from Pittsburgh. They were closing a school. Dan and I rented a U-Haul and we drove up there, loaded it with furniture and brought it back. That was significant savings. We also bought $20-some thousand in furniture last year. That was the only capital item approved for Tohoto last year. So this should finish that, at least to the degree that most of our students have reasonable seating that's age appropriate, size appropriate. Our Lego robotics system that we use in some of our science classes, predominantly technology, is now at end of life. We actually just realized this as we were thinking about replacing some of the existing units. They have moved that to computer science and AI. They are discontinuing the robotics system in June, so it will not be supported. So this is a separate program that should last a number of years. I expect it has a 7-year lifespan with maybe some upgrades along the way. We may look at modules and things like that to add on. AVID curriculum, grades 6 to 12. That's a relatively minor ask, but it's oh gosh, I'm blanking on it. Rich, help me out.
Executive functioning, tier 2 intervention program.
Right. Life readiness. The last item you'll see, and we'll touch on this in a few moments, is a school van. We would anticipate this would result in savings over the long term. For example, we would not only use it to support our Bridges program, to go to job sites and work programs, but our athletic programs could use it as well. And talking to Julie Lee, it would be size appropriate for our golf team, for example. So instead of paying $350, $400, $500 or more for each of their matches, we could use the school van, drivable by the coach, for example, who could take them to their games. And that would be significant savings over a period of time. I have a couple examples. So this is an example of a 12-passenger multi-purpose van. This would be the larger of the sort of size vans we recommend. 10 to 12 passengers is pretty typical. As you can see, there is seating for up to 12 students in there, plus some luggage. So this could be a number of students, a coach, and some golf clubs in the back. So reasonable for that purpose. We could also use it to transport resources from school to school as needed if we needed to. But this would be a resource for the district in addition to cost savings over the longer term.
It's also, not only we use it for our Bridges program, right, the opportunity for kids to go to supermarket life skills for our athletics, but it's also a great PR for us as well too, right? We have the Van Grab with Berlin Boylston, right? You see them all the time when you drive, you see Worcester Academy, you see different districts that have that piece, but it would be a great opportunity for, not only for our students and our teachers, but also to promote our district as a whole.
With this, people have to be certified to drive. I'm sure insurance has to match that. Is that kind of going to be put
There's-
into the budget as
yeah.
well, or?
So,
Maintenance on the
interesting, there's no
cars?
specific certification for this. You know, we would definitely, look at making sure that people are comfortable with it, maybe even provide some training as necessary, if we could. So, yeah, the laws are very interesting around vans and transportation and how that works. To drive students to and from school, you need a very specific license, but once they're at school, that licensure requirement doesn't exist anymore.
We brought one of these in the previous district work, so we had some people come in and do some training for us, right? So that we knew how to back it up and how to look and where to park. So we plan on doing that as well.
Okay, yeah, I just, as a parent, I would want someone to have a good driving license and, you know, a little additional training.
And even one of the things that we learned when we brought it in previously is like where to park that, right? So you're not stuck in a spot that someone backs in behind you, right? And then you can't open up the back doors to load or unload as well.
Yep, so speaking of parking.
It's coming.
But
It's coming.
can you use this for-
I wasn't speaking of parking, I guess I was,
It's
yeah.
on there.
Can you use this for a field,
Yeah.
like, can you use it during a
Yes.
field trip during the day? Like, could like the art class go to a museum? So like, as long as
Yes.
you're not driving them to school at the beginning of the day or home,
Yes.
they can take it out.
Yes, anything during the day would be fine, so smaller field trips would be a possible use for this. Again, the only like real specific license would be directly taking them from home to school or from school to home.
And that would be for the district, we'd be able to have the access to, it, right?
Or like when the band gets together to practice all the trumpets, they all get together, it's a huge opportunity.
I'm
And
curious
the bus
if
companies have
it's,
a cost.
can consider like hybrid or electric, because there's different maintenance associated with those types of engines.
I have looked at electric or hybrid vans in the past. They currently don't have sort of a model that would fit this bill. School buses are were kind of the rage. And you know, they're very expensive. So your average electric school bus is $350,000 to $400,000, whereas a normal gas diesel school bus is in the $120,000 range, depending. So
But I'm
it's a
curious
big lift
if
when you
that
get up
comes
to
back
electric.
though through less maintenance and
Yeah.
that.
So you say
Right.
that, but even I'll use an example, like Monday, Wisconsin schools had a 2-hour delay, right? So I was communicating with the superintendent and they had to do that because they're electric buses, right? Nothing to do with the Super Bowl, nothing to do, it was just so cold that they were concerned about those electric buses getting ready to start as well too. So there were some things.
yeah.
So there was cost savings by buying electric buses, but there was also other costs that they have to associate that with, right?
So I attended some electric school bus workshops last year through MASBO, the Professional Organization for School Business Administrators. And I specifically asked about vans, and you know, their answer was really there's nothing really out there for that just yet. They're talking about it. I think a lot of it's going to have to do with what sort of support for sort of alternative fuel or electric vehicles there is in the coming years.
It's also for the efficiency. I appreciate the electric piece, but one of the things we dealt with when we purchased it previously, that if the art teacher's driving, or that gym teacher, and they have to fill it up, right, because they're getting low on gas, because they're traveling out to the western part of the state, right, we have the company car that they can pull over and fill that up as opposed to, you know, so just all those things we would be looking at.
So the next slide gets us into a little bit about the Lego computer science and AI sets. I talked a little bit about this, but this program includes the Massachusetts State STEM standards with lesson plans. It provides introduction to coding for students, which is a really important skill for students to have or develop as they go through high school. Great job opportunities for students who can do general coding in the real world, whether they go to college or don't go to college. I have some real life experiences with that that I'm happy to share at some point. There are also expansions, so we could consider some expansions later down the road. It's very similar to robotics. The robotics program had expansions. And this does transition us from the legacy system to this new computer science and AI set. The Spike robotic system is being canceled, as I shared before, so it won't be available. So next, we're going to talk about some items that we would be interested in taking from school choice. And largely, this is pulling items off of the capital list that we have provided to the towns. These are the classroom technology for both elementary schools. This includes the math curriculum. So we talked about that before, the pre-K to 5 math curriculum. That would largely be for Berlin Memorial and Boylston Elementary at $110,000. We would finish up our adding and replacing security cameras at the 2 elementary schools. Our goal is for full 360 coverage of both schools. Right now, we're a little bit shy of that. There are also some cameras that we would like to replace with that funding, so we would look to do that. We are looking to get consistency around our classroom projectors and sort of multimedia boards that are used in the classrooms. This $61,000 would provide consistency. I don't have the specific model numbers, but we could speak to that later. A lot easier for maintenance, upkeep, parts, what have you, bulbs, things like that district-wide. And it means that if you're a teacher and your classroom moves or you choose to move, you don't have to relearn a whole new technology. We are looking at, I think we talked about this last year, and the question of, funding for these sorts of things came up. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. But I'll talk about the robotic field line painter and mower. Those are 2 items we talked about this past year. There was a question about where the funding would come from. We are proposing we look towards an investment there. There may be some conversations with the custodial union. We will want to have those and ensure them that we're not looking to use that to cut jobs. We're looking at to make their jobs more productive and vibrant. So walkie-talkies, I have a slide on this in a moment, but there has been a move to upgrade the walkie-talkies. This would finish that move. This would be the final part of that move. It would also add a repeater to Berlin Memorial School. It would allow us to have district-wide walkie-talkie access, which would be really important. It would also allow us possibly to pipe in with some of the emergency channels, police, fire, what have you. Really nice feature to have in this day and age. You can designate specific channels to specific purposes. We could have a custodial channel, we could have an administrative channel, things like that. So a lot of power with that.
It would be one complete system that we actually even house at that central office, so that if there was an emergency going on, we'd be able to all be able to communicate with each other as a district through walkie-talkie, as well as the police and the fire.
Yep, 2 minor things for BES and BMS. A scissor lift at Boylston Elementary. There are a lot of lights, particularly in the gymnasium, that are difficult to replace. We have to hire a scissor lift or hire someone to come in and replace those bulbs. We would be able to do that ourselves with a scissor lift at Boylston Elementary. And then at Berlin Memorial, the ask there is for a shed for Berlin Memorial to store materials, supplies, things like that related to the school. So total $394,000 to come from school choice. We have certainly that much money available in our school choice and then some. So getting to walkie-talkies, if anyone wants more information on walkie-talkies, there's a lot there. Those are basically the walkie-talkies we're looking at. There's an example of how a repeater works. So a really quick sort of visual of how that repeater would work. And I think everything we have there is items I've talked about. We reprogram all of the radios we have. We would do all of the FCC licensing for that. We would do training for staff as necessary. Finally, some examples of the robotic field line painter and mower. The two pictures up there are of a turf tank and line painter, and I don't remember the model of mower. I may have it in my notes, so if you bear with me for a moment. But we are not wed to either of those. No. We are not wed to either of those models, and those were just for sort of visualization purposes. So all of these, both of these models and the model we would look at work on GPS and use mapping software that you set up. You set up markers and you set it and forget it. You can leave that mower out there in many cases for 8 hours and it will do 2 acres or more at a time. You get that done. The same with the line painter. You set up the plotting for your fields, set it and forget it. It actually saves on the lining paint because it's rather than the human pressing sort of a spray button, it administers a very specific amount designed to line the field. These will operate day or night. They'll go back to a charging station and wait for their next command. You can do a lot of this through an app online. Finally, we get to what are the items we would then push on to the towns through assessments. Even though this is a bit of a small item, one of the things we said is if it's physical to the building, if this is part of the building, we're renters in these buildings, we're going to sort of, those are the items that we're going to sort of push back on the town to pick up. At Berlin Memorial, there are really only 2 small items. One is the gym exterior doors. Those doors are in really bad shape. If you've ever been there for, say, town meeting or to vote, well, you haven't voted there yet, but you will be voting there. So this is to prepare for things like the elections. Additionally, repairing the rooftop units. So we have rooftop AC units for the library and various office spaces. Those are in need of repairs. So the total of that is $25,000. It's worth noting that the town of Berlin also has approved $323,000 for the roof replacement. We have received bids for that. We actually have a low bid of around $230,000. Dan is verifying references and making sure that they're a responsible and responsive bidder. But in our mind, that's an excellent bid relative to, it's almost $100,000 less than what was estimated initially. There are a lot of factors to this, so it doesn't necessarily mean that this is maybe an inadequate vendor, and that's Dan's job to review the references, look at all the specs they provide and make sure they meet our standards. Keep in mind, our standards included a 50-year shingle, which is a high standard for quality of those shingles. Additionally, I believe it was 6 nails per shingle. That's above the sort of industry standard of how many nails you use per shingle. That gets into how likely they are to, say, fall off or have issues down the road. So, assuming that everything matches up, we believe this is going to be a good bid. There are also some other factors to be considered relative to the type of company that bids, and some bids inherently could be lower as a result, not because of the quality of the work, but because of the type of company.
Yeah, and this is only for the second half of the roof of Berlin. They already did the first half a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
This is the second part. And the other part about this bid is to look to do that this spring. So we're looking at that.
We're looking at April break right now, assuming the weather works with us. And the half they've done is the flat portion of the roof, so the rubber sort of flat membrane. Moving to Boylston, again, these are the items that are more intrinsic to the building. We have 2 bathrooms that very much need to be updated. They're in rough shape. We'd like to look at getting those updated. Continuing parking the rear end of the school, that is on the list. We'd like to keep that on the table. And then we'd like to look at replacing some of the play area wood chips with rubber, with a rubber surface. You know, we recognize that may be, you know, a little deep for an ask, but we'll throw it on the table and see what happens. That'll just stay on our list for the long term. So then we get to Tohoto. The one item, again, this is sort of intrinsic to the building and it's a very big ask. This is expanding Tohoto parking. We recognize this is a big issue. The amount of parking we have for events, sporting events, whether it's events in the auditorium, things like that. I think Al sort of hit the nail on the head the other day when we were talking to someone. He said families don't carpool or come all together anymore. They frequently take 2 or 3 cars now, right? You have the kids got a car, mom's coming from work, dad's coming from work. More and more, we're seeing more and more cars fill our parking lots. There's also more demand for, say, student parking. More and more students are driving. There's more push for that. And then we also have the challenge of snowfall, and sometimes we have to put the snow somewhere, whether it's temporary or permanent. We end up with some piles of snow that, as you can see, have taken up a few parking spaces, and that presents some challenges. I know when I come here, it's a little harder to park for meetings and things like that, because in some cases there's snow. So having that additional overflow parking would be very beneficial.
This is a conversation we're having with both towns. They appreciate it and realize it. So we keep bringing it up on our presentations for both towns, because there's absolutely a need for this to take place.
Oh, darn.
And the parking lot is smaller than it used to be because the footprint of Tohoto is bigger. And Sierra will allow us to go above that.
Yep. So I have a quick video that I share frequently. I don't know if I've shared this one before, but I'm gonna hit play. Joe, right there. Is that coming up? Did I kill it? No. Oh, there you go.
So what'd you think of the house?
It's got a great kitchen, but did you see the school rating?
Right.
Hey babe, I gotta go.
Bye, Daddy. Okay.
So I'm sorry that wasn't as loud as I'd hoped. We'll take the volume up next time if we can. Did anybody catch, like, what was the very first thing that they talked about? Very first thing they talked about.
What was the school
Schools,
rating?
right? The only thing, right? So she had this great house she was in love with. His first comment was, well, look at the school rating. And instantly that house is off the table. It's not an option. No matter how beautiful the parks nearby are, no matter how few potholes are in the road, they didn't talk about police or fire response times. They talked about the schools. If you go to Zillow tomorrow, today, tonight, you will see school ratings front and center. You will not see potholes per linear mile of road. You won't see any of these other things we talked about. This is what matters to families when they're moving into neighborhoods. This is what impacts. There's no bigger impact on home value than the quality of your schools. So if your communities want to maintain home value, they'll invest in the schools. The best investment you can make for homeowner value, period. And with that,
So what'd you think of
whoops. I will.
Thanks, Aaron.
My presentation.
Any quick questions for Aaron, and we'll have 2 more meetings where we can pepper him with details. But
As a layperson, I see your E&D and then also school choice, and all of a sudden there's a $400,000 of request for each of those funds. If someone's just tuning in, can you explain just very briefly why those funds are available and haven't been utilized or seemingly utilized in past years now with so much money in them?
Sure. So the district, you've seen the draft audit financial statements. If you go through those, you will find school choice. And as of the end of 2024, the district had $2.8 million in school choice funds available. I didn't put them there. They came through probably many years in the past. Many districts had balances in the past because the $5,000 you've been getting all these years, once upon a time was worth a lot more money. Right now, it doesn't quite mean quite as much. So it's sort of declining value. As with anything that stays the same cost, right? That value declines over time. But that balance is there. In 2025, we received about $435,000 of school choice funds. We did not need to spend school choice funds to close out that year. So that brings that total up to $3.2 million. When we started this budget this year, we knew we wouldn't have E&D. We knew we had already looked at shedding some positions. We put additional school choice funds in there. So we've got about $400,000 to reserve the budget beyond what we take in. So that will bring down our balance a little bit, but that still leaves us at that sort of $2.8 million. If we were to spend all of our choice money that you've allotted for this year, we would still be at that $2.8 million. That's a very, very robust school choice number. You would be very hard pressed to find any district that has that much, particularly not that much per student. Our auditor will certainly suggest that we spend some of that down responsibly. I am looking at responsible ways to spend down that money. So you'll see some of those items are investments in essential items, things that will better the school district, as well as will demonstrate a bit of a partnership with the towns, right? We're picking up a greater piece of sort of this capital and one-time outlay. It's part of building sort of that partnership with the towns. We understand they're looking to replace, and particularly in Boylston, the BES roof. They've just done the Berlin Memorial roof. We greatly appreciate that, and anything we can do to sort of help alleviate and help them meet some of their needs, whether it's police, fire, recreation department, in terms of capital this year, we want to be good partners in that process. So that's sort of the philosophy behind this. It's multifaceted. This takes a few things off the table that might also have been kicked down the road a couple of years. So we'd like to, be able to start sort of fresh on some items.
And how much income are we gonna get from school choice this year, or like for the next budget?
I'm sorry, say again?
The projected income from school choice
Yeah.
with the current seats.
So we're expecting that to be pretty flat. I mean, that's going to come down to a conversation about, our willingness to open up school choice seats and where we might open them, and what that might look like for the long term. I think, as I've shared, I'm not some huge proponent of school choice, but I'm a proponent of school funding, where if we're going to say that we don't want as much choice, it's absolutely fine with me, but then we have to replace that money somewhere, right? It's a give and take. The pie's only so big. If we start shrinking a slice of our revenue pie, something's going to give. And so we need to ask that question. Again, like I said, I'm not against even not doing choice at all. I worked with a district that didn't do it by principle.
So we have an admin meeting tomorrow, and one of the agenda items on that admin meeting is school choice, to talk to our principals and see where their openings are as well too. So that's part of the conversation that we're doing in February. And then we'll get that information that we do every year and bring it back to school committee to make some decisions with that.
So that's early. That's good, because we usually don't get to vote on that until like April or May. So that would actually be nice to have that information before talking about
Any other questions for Aaron? All right, thanks, Aaron.
Okay. If I can just close by saying, since we're kind of in public and everyone's here, I just want to reiterate that anyone who would like to sit down and talk about this budget, go over the budget, I will meet with you anytime. If you're a school committee member, please work through Al as per the communication process. But if you were a member of the town, a citizen, a parent, a select board member, just send me an email. We can sit down and we can go through it. Al may join us. I'm happy to have this conversation.
Just appreciate it's an ever-changing budget right now, right? So this is the budget we're presenting to you, right? It's a little different than even the one we gave to April last night because they had to change that Aaron meeting today, right? So it's ever-changing, right? We're still working on things.
Perhaps a YouTube link could be put in the newsletters as well. Maybe a little less hard for people to find.
For this
For
budget.
this, yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Is anyone here for another public comment? All right. Anybody have anything for future agenda items?
Subcommittee? We can do a subcommittee.
Was that
Are we doing subcommittees at the next?
at the next meeting? Yeah.
meeting?
Are we meeting on the 24th?
Mhm.
Is that, and so that'll be another draft of this budget?
That'll be a detailed budget presentation from Aaron, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe. What do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, so the 24th is all about budget.
Okay.
And the 10th, yeah, March 10th should be the really big one.
That'll be the hearing, yeah.
Next time.
March 10th is the hearing, yeah.
Then March 10th will be the hearing. And
Speaking of the hearing, you're on top of the dates for the newspaper.
Yep.
Yeah, we've posted already.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the March 10th, we reserve the auditorium like we did last year to present it there, just in case there's a large amount of people.
All right.
So we take care of that as well too.
All right, sounds good. Next up, business items. So the Boylston Capital Plan meeting, we've talked about this a little bit. Megan wants to be the representative to attend on behalf of the school committee. Just remember, it's attending, listening, bringing it back to the school committee if there's anything to act on. You don't speak for the committee. There's nothing that we know of that needs to be spoken for them. But could I have a motion to appoint Megan Grill to attend on behalf of the school committee at the Boylston Capital Plan meeting? Jess?
Second, no, Lisa, but I'll second it.
Oh, Lisa, oh, sorry. All right, Lisa moved, Jess second. All right, any comments on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against it? All right, the motion passes. Thank you. Then a couple items or a few items as first reads, school calendar. Do you need to say anything?
Nope.
Or is it self-explanatory?
Self-explanatory, we got a little different format this year of presenting it. We worked with our admin to put it together. Lisa Sakura led this. We've also vetted this to the union as well too. But we're presenting to you for first read. Give us some feedback on this. We can get this out to parents.
As far as the school calendar goes, this is the first read, so this is people's opportunity to look at it, think about questions for next time when it goes on for a vote. And next time when it goes on for a vote, hopefully that will be the vote, and we won't be talking about another vote in August.
That's right.
All right, sounds good. Program of studies, first read. Any quick comments on that? Quick comments on, Al, do you have anything? Richard?
So just, we are proposing 4 new electives that we have. Some of these are driven by looking at like the business concentration piece. We pool our kids every year to ask what they are interested in, and we had asked our junior class that if you were applying for a major right now, what would it be? And 17 or 71 students said business. It was our top response. So in response to that, we are building in these courses, and we're really excited about them too. They're really looking at some kind of rich pieces and opportunities for our kids that haven't been offered before. The final piece is the Great American Novel. That is the 4th offering here to really support kids with the humanities, challenging piece for some of our high achieving students who want to take on a deep dive into the classics.
If you have any questions or follow-up, sorry, Rich.
So I was gonna say the only course that is not gonna be offered for next year, unfortunately, is Nature of Being. Steve Pacheco, who's long worked with this authority, is gonna be retiring come the fall, and this will no longer be offered. We always looked at what can we now replace it with, as this has been a staple for Tohoto. And other pieces that we've looked to build in, which the school committee has supported, is initiatives such as like our World Traveling Club, and these other expeditions that we have with world language. So we're hoping to continue to supplement, and as opportunities go out, new ones arise.
Thanks, Rich. So Al, we also talked, this is not here, but just to point out, program of studies, handbooks, whatever handbooks we need to sign off on, we've been getting those a little late.
Yep.
The last few years.
Yep.
Signing off on handbooks in December.
Yep.
Probably not a great idea.
Agreed.
Could we get working on those so that, come maybe the July or June or July, or maybe even at the latest August meeting, we can do whatever votes we need to do on
Yes.
those?
Yep, absolutely. That'll be the work that we'll be doing, and working with Brent on that as well too.
All right.
That's why we're getting the calendar to you guys in February this year.
All right. And then the last first read we have on there, the protocols, we talked a little bit about these last week. I put them out there, I put them together, it's first read, so if you've got questions on them, we can discuss them. Probably more appropriate to get to them after the budget is handled. Again, get them worked into the committee handbook, however we feel like we want to do those, but it's something that's been hanging out there since October, so I felt important to just get a document out there so people can take a look at it. And we can go back to that and discuss them and vote them at a future meeting, but just put something out there for everybody to take a look at. All right?
And those will then lead us into a self-evaluation.
I mean, they're two separate ideas. This is the training from MASC we took with Tracy in October. That was about how we run our meetings and make it more efficient. Self-evaluation relates to goals we might set at the beginning of the year and how we went about those. Protocols can help us run things in line with our goals, but they're separate from whatever that process will be. Coming up with the document was separate from whatever that process may be.
Yeah, I'm just saying operating protocols are generally the things that we hold ourselves to when we agree and sign them, and the superintendent as well. And so that is generally what I learned at MASC trainings that we base our self-evaluation and our goals on.
Yeah, how the protocols that we met with, trained on Tracy with, discussed and agreed on were things like how to communicate before meetings, how to put agendas together, how to run agendas during meetings, what should be on agendas, things like that. They're in the protocols there. If we want to set goals, we might set a goal of, you mentioned want to have a retreat over the summer, right? So a goal might be have a retreat and do some of the kind of training or something. We don't necessarily have to have a protocol that says we're going to do a retreat every year, but it could be a goal for a particular year, and then we could evaluate ourselves on what did we do for the retreat? Did we work it out? Did we stick to what we said we were going to do at the retreat? Whatever it might be, but this document is on there simply as a first step so that it got done, and we can take it, vote it down, change it, amend it, whatever we like.
And when you take your goals as well to the school committee, not that I'm telling you how to do your goals, but it's reflective of the district as well too. Like starting a strategic plan next year, one of the things the school committee would want to be doing is supporting that, right? And doing some of the things that are coming through in that. There's a section that we heard loud and clear from the survey about school committee, right? So you want to be looking at that reflectively so that you can then put your goals based on that as well too.
Will that be on the agenda next time?
What's that?
The district improvement plan, like Al was just talking about?
We're hoping to, we're working to get there. We're either.
No rush, I was just asking because you
Yes.
brought it up.
Because we have to have you guys vote on it. So that
Right.
strategic plans to come in from you guys to vote on that. But we also have to go to from the towns as well to let them see it as well too. So every month from now until the end of the year, by the end of this school year, we'll have that on the calendar for you to look at. Absolutely.
And then could we just go to a meeting so we could learn about what's going on?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are public meetings.
All right, so next is an executive session. We might return to open session to vote. Could I have a motion, please, to enter executive session, may return to open session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A, Purpose 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining, BBRSD, custodial staff, teams through Local 170. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and the chair so declares. Beth? Lisa? Anybody have a comment on it? Megan?
Aye.
Beth?
Aye.
Jess? Lisa? Thank you very much. All right, we're going to enter executive session. Thanks, everybody, for coming. We'll take a short break before we get in there.